Chapter 828. Boom, boom, boom. A series of earth-shattering sounds echoed as all of Wang Lin's thunderballs collapsed. The ice also paused for a moment. Just at this moment, the shadow behind Wang Lin flickered and Ta Shan stepped forward. His uninjured left fist punched out without hesitation and collided with the ice. At the same time, Wang Lin raised his right hand and used Call the Wind to form a black wind that blew toward Yao Bingyun at close range. Wang Lin had always been ruthless to his enemies, regardless of whether they were male or female. The black wind whistled and the ice instantly collapsed, turning into countless fragments. Ta Shan's fist charged straight toward Yao Bingyun as the ice dissipated. Yao Bingyun's expression was still cold without any fluctuations. The moment Ta Shan closed in, she opened her mouth and spat out, "Blood, collapse!" Ta Shan's body suddenly trembled and a large amount of blood sprayed out from his body, forming a blood mist. He couldn't even throw out this punch before his body was pushed back by a powerful force. He quickly returned to the shadow behind Wang Lin. At this moment, Wang Lin also felt a strange power gather from all directions. This power seemed to have some kind of fluctuation that caused the blood in his body to flow faster. It was as if it was boiling and wanted to rush out of his body. A flash of killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He clenched his right hand and immediately used Call the Wind. The black wind immediately gathered and turned into a black dragon. The dragon opened its mouth and let out a roar. A large amount of cold wind flew toward Yao Bingyun. Yao Bingyun's expression changed for the first time. She stared at the cold wind coming from the black dragon and immediately formed a seal. Just at this moment, Wang Lin retreated and merged with the void. His opponent could also merge with the world, so his previous method of fighting was useless against her. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with determination. He couldn't defeat this woman. Since that was the case, he had to quickly escape. As he retreated, ripples appeared beneath Wang Lin's feet, and he disappeared. Yao Bingyun was about to give chase, but the black dragon's chilling wind exceeded her expectations. Even though she had merged with the world, she still couldn't avoid it. The coldness on Yao Bingyun's face became even stronger. Her hands formed a seal and a blue origin core appeared before her hands. This origin core was bright and gave off a beautiful light. Once it appeared, it flew toward the cold wind. Cracking sounds echoed and the cold wind dissipated. However, the blue origin core immediately dimmed, as if it had lost its spirit. Yao Bingyun's face was grim as she grabbed Landan and stared in the direction in which Wang Lin had disappeared. Her body flickered as she continued in pursuit. Ever since she started cultivating, she had never met such a difficult person to deal with. After chasing for so long, she still wasn't able to stop him. At this moment, Yao Bingyun's face was cold as she spread out her divine sense to search for any fluctuations. Wang Lin merged with the world and headed toward the northern Luo Tian domain. He had a big plan in his heart. There was a river of stars between the northern and western Luo Tian domain. After passing through this river, one could enter the northern domain. However, at this moment, outside the river of stars, there were countless cultivators heading toward the western Luo Tian domain. It wasn't just here. At this moment, all of the western Luo Tian domain was filled with cultivators. Aside from the people of the Yao family, most of them were from the cultivation families of the Yao family. More than half of them were cultivators from the western Luo Tian domain. These people were certain that Wang Lin would die without a doubt, so they weren't worried about revenge. They moved out in large numbers just for the reward from the Yao family. In reality, there weren't that many people from the Yao family. These people were densely packed and blocked all the paths. Some people were constantly interfering with the power of heaven and earth, causing it to distort and not letting anyone pass. Wang Lin's figure appeared thousands of kilometers away from the river of stars. His expression was gloomy and the killing intent in his eyes became stronger. He could feel powerful ripples coming from here. With so many cultivators interfering with the power of heaven and earth, even if he merged with the world, he couldn't guarantee that he would be able to pass safely. Once he was forced to reveal himself, Wang Lin knew he would without a doubt die under the siege of so many cultivators. Yao family! Wang Lin gritted his teeth, turned around, and disappeared. Suddenly, several strands of divine sense swept forward furiously from afar. One of them did not hesitate to interfere with the worldly powers around them. Immediately after that, howling sounds rose and fell as a high number of cultivators charged forward in a frenzy. With the power of heaven and earth interfered, Wang Lin's figure flickered, and he reappeared 3,000 meters away. His expression was even more grim as he fled. Su Mu! He's here! Su Mu is here! Kill him! Su Mu! He's Su Mu! Shouts came from all directions as cultivators in various attires charged forward at top speed. The funny thing was that none of them were from the Yao family. The real Yao family clansmen were at the back, watching the scene before them coldly. It was hard to say who was smarter. From the Yao family's point of view, exchanging benefits for the help of cultivator clans would save them a lot of effort. From the cultivator clan's point of view, since so many cultivator clans had appeared, Su Mu would definitely die. As long as they fought, there would be benefits to reap. If they killed Su Mu, there would be even more benefits. If that was the case, why wouldn't they come out? Wang Lin's body kept retreating as ripples spread out under his feet. His gaze was cold as he scanned the cultivators chasing him, imprinting their appearances into his mind. As the cultivators attacked him with various spells and magical treasures, Wang Lin took a step and disappeared. He merged with heaven and earth. Although the power of heaven and earth was distorted, Wang Lin didn't move forward. Instead, he retreated, so he wouldn't be affected too much. Yao family, since you've made such a move, then if Wang doesn't get his revenge, then he shouldn't be called a heaven-defying cultivator. There are also those cultivator clans that are helping the Yao family. If it weren't for these cultivators, the Yao family wouldn't have been able to surround me like this. Wang Lin sneered as he disappeared. When the cultivators charging over saw Wang Lin's expression, their hearts turned cold. This expression, this powerful killing intent, only meant one thing: Wang Lin was going to start a massacre. Since you guys like to seal the area, then come. Wang Lin merged with the world and quickly retreated. During this process, Yao Bingyun's aura locked onto him. There was a flash of killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes, but he didn't stop. He appeared somewhere in the western Luo Tian domain, and there was a cultivation planet before him. Wang Lin didn't know what this cultivation planet was called, but after he appeared, he arrived on the planet with one step. He spread out his divine sense and found that there were no cultivators above the peak of the late stage of Ascendant. This was a clear signal. With the amount of spiritual energy on this cultivation planet, it was impossible for there to be no cultivators above the illusory Yin stage. These people must have participated in the group that was hunting him. In truth, Wang Lin's guess was extremely correct. If there was a large amount of illusory Yin and above cultivators on a cultivation planet, then there was only one explanation. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent as he charged out. As long as he saw any soul transformation or above cultivator, he wouldn't hesitate to flick his finger. If you participate in the matter between me and the Yao family, then you must be careful of my revenge. If I don't disperse these cultivation families and force them to retreat, more and more cultivation families will participate. The only way to resolve this matter is to shock them, and the best way to shock them is to slaughter the planet. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent. He was not a kind person, and now he was being forced by the Yao family and these cultivation families to the point where he couldn't leave the western Luo Tian domain. Now that he was surrounded by so many cultivators, he had less and less space to move around. If he wasn't ruthless, he would only be waiting for death. Moreover, what made Wang Lin even more anxious was the powerful cultivators from the Yao family and the other cultivation families. Those powerful Nirvana cleanser cultivators might arrive at any moment. Just one of them was enough to make it impossible for Wang Lin to resist. Why was planet Donglin so famous in the Luo Tian domain? Why would people tremble at the mention of planet Donglin and not dare to provoke it? This was because whenever a descendant of planet Donglin appeared, anyone who dared to provoke him would be slaughtered. Only by paying the price of blood could everyone remember it. Wang Lin originally didn't want to do this, but at this moment, he was forced to do this. This was the only way he could make most of the cultivation families involved retreat. There were no miserable cries. Wang Lin seemed to turn into a whirlwind that swept across the cultivation planet. In less than 15 minutes, he merged with the world and disappeared. He left behind a blood-filled planet that no longer had a single soul transformation cultivator or above. As for the mortals, Wang Lin didn't harm a single one. Wang Lin knew that cultivators below the soul formation stage weren't enough to be implicated in this matter, so he didn't act. Before he left, he raised his right hand and pressed down on the earth. There was a violent rumble and two large words appeared on the earth. Su Mu. After Wang Lin left, a ripple spread out and Yao Bingyun walked out. She immediately saw everything on the cultivation planet, and her expression was extremely gloomy. Her eyes were filled with killing intent and she continued to chase. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he continued to appear in the western domain of the Luo Tian domain. Every time he appeared, there would be a cultivation planet next to him. If there were illusory Yin cultivators on that planet, then he would turn around and leave. However, if there were no illusory Yin cultivators on a planet that had participated in the hunt for him, then a bloody massacre would begin. You all forced me to do this. There is no grievance between you all and me for the reward from the Yao family. This is the cause, and my massacre is the effect. All of you will enter the cycle of reincarnation. Wang Lin wasn't bloodthirsty, but he was forced to do this. In a short 30 days, a bloody storm swept across the western domain of the Luo Tian domain. An earth-shattering piece of news that made all the cultivators angry but also terrified spread like wildfire. All the soul transformation and above cultivators on more than a dozen cultivation planets were slaughtered. Blood flowed like rivers, and only the two words, Su Mu, were left behind. This was naked revenge. This was complete revenge against all the cultivators that had participated in the hunt. This kind of behavior was the demonic path. It was unknown who said the title Master Demon first, but it fell on Wang Lin's head. You must pay the price for participating in the matter between me and the Yao family. The monthly votes ranking was filled with killing intent, asking for monthly votes. Tomorrow at midnight, I'll return the monthly votes from fellow cultivators. Chapter 829. This kind of naked revenge was like a bolt from the blue. It caused the hearts of all the families chasing Wang Lin to tremble. The other party didn't kill cultivators below the soul transformation stage, which gave them a chance to live. However, the bloody meaning behind it was self-evident. If you continue to participate in this matter, kill those below the soul transformation stage. Countless angry storms erupted. The cultivators of the families that had their planets slaughtered went crazy. They didn't retreat and swore to get revenge on Su Mu. However, even more cultivator families began to hesitate, especially the local cultivator families in the western domain of the Luo Tian. It was unknown who took the lead, but they all quietly left and returned to their own cultivation planet. At this moment, the blockade that surrounded the western domain of the Luo Tian suddenly became thin. Many of the cultivator families considered Wang Lin's bloody revenge for a long time before slowly retreating. After all, for the benefit of the Yao family, Wang Lin's actions had caused the cultivators of the Luo Tian star system to feel a chill in their hearts. Most importantly, Wang Lin's methods made the cultivators of the All-Heaven star system, who valued their families as their core, feel a chill in their hearts. They could feel Wang Lin's madness and knew what he would do if this continued. Aside from the cultivator families in the western domain of the Luo Tian star system, the cultivators of the other 3 star systems also began to hesitate, but not many cultivators left. After all, their cultivation planets were not in the western domain of the Luo Tian star system. This Su Mu was going to die, and this was just his last struggle before he died. No matter how crazy this person's struggle was, he could only stay in the western domain of the Luo Tian star system. He couldn't leave, so there was no chance of revenge. Although this was the case, Wang Lin could still feel that the pressure from the blockade had lessened a lot in the western domain of the Luo Tian star system. However, during this period of time, the woman who could also merge with the world had gotten closer and closer to him. There were even a few times when she almost caught up to him. Wang Lin frowned. The other party was chasing him too closely, and in the western domain of the Luo Tian star system, Wang Lin's range of movement was rapidly shrinking. If he didn't find a way to escape, he would be in danger. Wang Lin's figure appeared among the stars. He frowned, and the killing intent in his eyes had condensed over the past few days. It was as if it could turn corporeal. The woman chasing me is at least at the mid-stage of Nirvana Scryer. I can't kill her with my power, so it will be a bit troublesome. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he disappeared. As soon as he disappeared, Yao Bingyun stepped out from the void. Her face was filled with killing intent. After she appeared, she looked into the distance and coldly said, "You can't escape." With one step, she merged with the world and continued to chase. Wang Lin merged with the world this time because he had to avoid Yao Bingyun. With her chasing him, he couldn't escape at all. By merging with the world for a long time and damaging himself, Wang Lin finally made Yao Bingyun lose her lock on him. However, it took him 3 days. During these 3 days, the blockade formed by the cultivators of the western domain of the Luo Tian star system shrank even more. It was like a circle that was constantly shrinking. A powerful killing intent gathered within the blockade. This killing intent was so powerful that it formed a storm that large amounts of dust were pushed back. After temporarily shaking off Yao Bingyun's lock, Wang Lin's body flickered, and he appeared next to an abandoned cultivation planet without any signs of life. After carefully looking at the planet, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he muttered to himself, "I'll choose this one." Wang Lin knew that time was of the essence. Aside from being able to merge with the world, the woman chasing him must have another method of divination to find his location. As a result, he had to seize this short opportunity. Wang Lin's hand formed a seal and waves of origin energy spread out. The origin energy turned into countless imprints that flew toward the abandoned planet. The moment the imprints landed on the planet, they immediately disappeared. Wang Lin didn't stop. He circled the planet and continued to place imprints. 1 hour later, his face was slightly pale. With one step, he landed on the planet. There were many ruins on the planet. The earth was covered in cracks, the rivers and seas were dry, and the atmosphere was filled with death. After Wang Lin landed, he immediately slapped his bag of holding and the 1 billion soul flag appeared in his hand. He shook the flag, and it turned into a black fog that surrounded the world. The blood ancestor's eyes were closed and his body was covered in countless seals. Surrounding him were the countless soul fragments inside the 1 billion soul flag. Without hesitation, Wang Lin took out an illusory origin soul from the 1 billion soul flag. He crushed it and placed a seal on it. The illusory origin soul trembled and revealed a terrifying, cold gaze. Wang Lin threw the illusory origin soul into the earth and disappeared. Wang Lin was a bit out of breath. Before Li Yuan left, he passed on the annihilation restriction to him. Although he hadn't inherited the annihilation restriction heart and couldn't use it all, there were still some restrictions he could use without the annihilation restriction heart. The 9 extinction soul destruction formation was one of them. It was one of the 3 great forbidden techniques that Li Yuan had imparted to him. This formation didn't require the annihilation restriction heart, but it required a large amount of origin souls. Although Li Yuan knew how to use this formation, the requirements were too strict, so he had never placed it before. Wang Lin's face was slightly pale, but he didn't stop. He continued to grab origin souls from the 1 billion soul flag. There weren't many illusory origin souls. After all, most of them had been devoured by Wang Lin. He grabbed an ascendant origin soul, placed a seal on it, and let it fuse with the earth. Several hours later, Wang Lin's face became even more pale. His eyes lit up as he stared at the blood ancestor's origin soul. After hesitating for a bit, his eyes revealed a decisive gaze. He took out the origin soul and placed a seal between its eyebrows. He didn't throw it away but let it stay inside the black fog. After taking a deep breath, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to sink into the inner part of the cultivation planet. He withdrew all his aura and used the concealment spell Li Yuan had taught him. This concealment restriction was extremely mysterious. When Li Yuan used it back then, Wang Lin wasn't able to detect it at all. However, he needed to have the annihilation restriction heart to complete it, or else there was still a chance of others detecting it. This was why Wang Lin didn't use this spell when he was surrounded. He sank into the planet and sat down. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he muttered, "Yao family and the cultivation families that are hunting me, Wang has prepared a big gift for all of you. This is merely the prelude." As he sneered, Wang Lin closed his eyes. He didn't reveal any aura as if he had become one with the cultivation planet. Time gradually passed. 3 days later, the blockade formed by the Luo Tian cultivators continued to shrink. The first wave of cultivators arrived outside the cultivation planet Wang Lin was hiding on. There was a woman before these cultivators. This woman was Yao Bingyun. Her expression was cold as her right hand formed a seal as if she was divining something. Her gaze fell on the cultivation planet Wang Lin was hiding on. Her eyes lit up and she coldly said, "That Su Mu is here." Behind Yao Bingyun were 2 members of the Yao family, 1 male and 1 female. They were wearing luxurious clothes and had natural expressions. The man smiled and said, "I fear this person knows he can't hide, so he set up some formation here." As the young man spoke, he took a step forward and charged toward the cultivation planet. Yao Bingyun frowned slightly and also charged forward. Behind them, the cultivators from the cultivation families all charged toward the cultivation planet. However, everyone, including the young man, had stopped outside the cultivation planet. No one had truly stepped onto it. The young man from the Yao family smiled and loudly said, "Fellow cultivators, please help my Yao family destroy this cultivation planet. That way, no matter what scheme Su Mu has, he will be destroyed along with the cultivation planet." The cultivators of the surrounding cultivation families all agreed. They didn't hesitate to use their spells to attack the cultivation planet. In an instant, all kinds of origin energy spells landed on the abandoned cultivation planet. Popping sounds echoed across the world and the planet trembled. Large amounts of rocks fell off as if the planet was going to collapse. Yao Bingyun frowned. She had chased after Wang Lin for many days and knew that he was very smart. He wouldn't have left such a big flaw. The cultivation planet continued to collapse. Large amounts of rubble scattered as the cultivators attacked. Large cracks spread across the planet like ravines. In the end, when the young man from the Yao family rushed out and used the Yao family's celestial spell, the collapse of the cultivation planet became even more intense. Powerful fluctuations spread out, and rays of sword energy appeared in the distance. Another wave of cultivators had arrived. When they saw what was happening, they didn't ask any questions or waste words. They directly attacked the broken cultivation planet. Yao Bingyun's brows furrowed even tighter. She had a nagging feeling that something was amiss, but she was unable to figure out the reason for it. The attacks of countless spells caused large amounts of the cultivation planet to collapse. Large amounts of rocks scattered and the surroundings were covered in rock. In the end, there was a heaven-shaking rumble and a powerful ripple spread out. The cultivation planet completely collapsed. This time, the collapse was filled with destructive power. Everything within it would die in an instant. Large amounts of rocks shot out in all directions. The collapse of the entire cultivation planet caused the surrounding origin energy to distort, and a ripple filled with death aura echoed. At this moment, as the violent rumble echoed, countless rays of light flew over. It was another wave of cultivators. The uneasy feeling in Yao Bingyun's heart grew stronger and stronger. She looked around and saw pieces of debris floating in the air, covering a radius of 10,000 feet. Almost all the cultivators were surrounded. Something's wrong. Yao Bingyun's eyes narrowed and she was about to warn the cultivators. However, just at that moment, a bolt of purple lightning suddenly appeared on a piece of shattered stone that was the furthest away. As the lightning swam, it immediately connected with another shattered stone that was not far away. This didn't end. In an instant, all of the rocks were covered in thunder. In almost an instant, all of the rocks within 100,000 feet were connected by thunder. Waves of crackling sounds echoed, and the area within 100,000 feet was locked down by lightning. All of this happened in an instant. It was so fast that it was unimaginable. The moment the surrounding cultivators noticed it, it had already formed. At the same time, a fluctuation of an illusory cultivator came from one of the fragments. The moment this fluctuation appeared, the fragment collapsed with a bang. It was as if an illusory cultivator had self-destructed, and it created a powerful shockwave that caused all the cultivators below the illusory realm to be seriously injured. 2 people even coughed out blood and their eyes dimmed. The explosion of the fragment was like a signal. Soon after, the fragments began to collapse one after another. In the end, the power of the explosion of all the fragments within the 10,000 feet area surged crazily within the area. Roars of rage echoed throughout the area. The cultivators who were surrounded unleashed various spells to fight back against the storm as they tried to escape. However, the power of the self-destruction fused together, making it extremely tenacious. If a cultivator died, their origin soul wouldn't be able to escape at all and would be absorbed by the storm. Then the origin soul would explode and become part of the storm. However, there were a lot of illusory yin and corporeal yang cultivators among the cultivators and Yao family members chasing Wang Lin. As a result, after a short period of commotion, their combined counterattack was unimaginably powerful. With Yao Bingyun in the lead, when she attacked, the power formed by the self-destruction would collapse on a large scale. This scene was like a storm formed by hundreds of thousands of feet of people trying to devour it, but after devouring half of it, it was unable to devour any more. Instead, under the resistance of the cultivators, it continued to expand. In an instant, rumbling sounds continued to reverberate within 100,000 feet. In an instant, a black fog silently spread in the surroundings. Waves of mournful cries rang out as the blood ancestors' Yuan spirit slowly condensed within the black fog. The moment the blood ancestors' origin soul appeared, an extremely cold voice echoed, "Explode." The voice came from the only piece of rock that hadn't collapsed 100,000 feet away. When this voice appeared, the blood ancestor's origin soul gave off a powerful blood-colored light and collapsed. The moment the origin soul collapsed, a ripple spread out like crazy. Any cultivator that came into contact with this ripple, unless they had an extremely high cultivation level, would immediately die. An illusory cultivator from a cultivation family in the northern Luo Tian domain was filled with terror. He was very close to the blood ancestor's origin soul, but when the blood ancestor's origin soul collapsed, he let out a miserable groan. Even his origin soul couldn't escape and dissipated. Beside him, another cultivator from the southern Luo Tian domain was about to rush out, but his body immediately stiffened. He was hit by the ripple and his body exploded into a mist of blood. In an instant, countless people died within 100,000 feet. Wang Lin's figure appeared 100,000 feet away. His right hand reached out and the black fog condensed into the 1 billion soul flag. He grabbed it and put it into his bag of holding. His figure flickered and he charged forward. But just as his figure was about to disappear, Yao Bingyun closed in with a single step, her jade-like fingers fiercely pointing at the void. Her phoenix eyes were filled with killing intent. Although her finger was pointing at the void, it was extremely vicious. She had been preparing this finger for a long time. She had been waiting for Wang Lin to appear. She was confident that this finger could definitely take Su Mu's life. This finger contained a celestial spell called the Soul Damage Seal, and it specialized in damaging the origin soul. A mere corporeal yang cultivator won't be able to survive the soul damage seal. Wang Lin's body trembled, and he was forced out 1,000 feet away. He coughed out a large mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. However, his body didn't stop at all. He didn't even look back as he escaped into the void. He's not dead. Yao Bingyun was startled. Her eyes lit up as she charged forward and chased after Wang Lin again. The explosion of the blood ancestor's origin soul caused a large amount of the cultivators chasing Wang Lin to die. No one expected Su Mu to have this kind of killing move. That was especially true of the Yao clan members who were trapped within the 30,000-meter radius. They didn't manage to escape either and died there. As the ripples dissipated, the area was filled with a mist of blood. This time, too many people had died. However, this was only a small portion of the army chasing Wang Lin. Rays of light flew over from the distance. All the cultivators that entered the Luo Tian Western Domain gathered here. The slaughter caused their hearts to tremble, and their killing intent toward Wang Lin became even stronger. We can't let Su Mu escape. If he gets his revenge, it'll be a catastrophe. This isn't a battle between Su Mu and the Yao family. This is a battle to exterminate the devil. Only by killing the son of the evil Tao, Su Mu, will we be able to rest easy. After him. One by one, the cultivators charged forward in pursuit of Wang Lin. Among them were the members of the Yao family, whose eyes were bloodshot as they gave chase. The number of cultivators who died in the 30,000-meter spell formation was too many to count. The name Su Mu instantly spread like wildfire throughout the Luo Tian planetary system. Even some of the eccentrics with profound cultivation bases began to focus their attention on the conflict between the Yao family and Su Mu. With the power of one person, he resisted the pursuit of countless cultivation families and the Yao family. Not only did he not die, but he even killed several people and obtained the title of Son of the Evil Tao. He also used the power of the formation to kill countless cultivators. This shocked all the cultivators who were chasing him. It even caused some cultivation families to withdraw from the pursuit in fear. This action caused Su Mu to become a new star in the Luo Tian star system. The battle between Su Mu and the Yao family in the western Luo Tian star system was spread by many cultivators in the Luo Tian star system. Su Mu's name became famous. Inside the Thunder Celestial Temple, Shimizu opened his eyes. He looked into the distance and muttered to himself, "This child is very similar to my style in the past. Very good. Today 9,000 words." Chapter 830. The chase didn't end, it became even more intense. Behind Wang Lin, countless cultivators moved like meteors as they chased after Wang Lin. Wang Lin's figure appeared in the void and staggered. His face was pale and he coughed out another mouthful of blood. His expression was gloomy and the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. If it wasn't for the ancient god leather armor, that finger spell would have killed me without a doubt. Wang Lin charged forward a few dozen feet and merged with the world once more to escape. There was no more blockade ahead and the origin energy was stable, But Wang Lin didn't directly escape to a place where the cultivators behind him couldn't catch up. With the woman from the Yao family chasing him, Wang Lin knew that no matter where he ran, she would catch up. Moreover, even without the woman chasing him, Wang Lin wouldn't choose to escape so far that the cultivators behind him wouldn't be able to catch up. Wang Lin had always adhered to the principle that if others didn't offend him, he wouldn't offend them. However, if others offended him, he would definitely kill them. The pursuit of the cultivators behind him had ignited Wang Lin's killing intent and anger. How could he let these people go so easily? If you want to kill me, you must pay the price. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes, and he merged with the world. Countless cultivators chasing Wang Lin charged through the border between the Luo Tian Western Domain and the Northern Domain. These people were extremely fast, and they all used powerful spells to chase him. Their killing intent condensed like an unsheathed sword as they closed in on Wang Lin. Wang Lin's figure appeared in the northern domain of the Luo Tian star system. This was the first place he had been after coming from the Alliance star system. Now that he had returned, his mood didn't fluctuate at all. His divine sense was spread out as if he was searching for something. A moment later, Wang Lin's expression changed and ripples echoed behind him. Wang Lin stepped out without hesitation. The moment Yao Bingyun appeared, Wang Lin merged with the world and disappeared. Yao Bingyun's expression was filled with killing intent. She let out a cold snort and continued to chase. Not long after, rays of light appeared behind them. It was the cultivators chasing Wang Lin and the Yao family. Along the way, Wang Lin was waiting for these cultivators, so he didn't go too far and kept a certain distance. His heart was filled with killing intent, and he didn't want to let any of them go. He was going to catch them all in one fell swoop. This was especially true for the cold woman who could also merge with the world. This was the only way he could relax for a short period of time. Otherwise, with these people chasing him, he wouldn't even have time to rest. Not only that, but Wang Lin also didn't plan on letting go of the families of these people chasing him. He had already warned them, but they still wanted to kill him. Since that was the case, they had to pay the price. The killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes became even colder. In the Luo Tian northern domain, Wang Lin's figure appeared many times. Every time he appeared, he would immediately spread out his divine sense to search for him. However, he quickly withdrew his divine sense and couldn't waste any time merging with the world again. If he was a bit slower, the woman from the Yao family would catch up. As a result, his speed slowed down greatly. The cultivators chasing him gradually moved through the Luo Tian northern domain. However, the cultivators from the Luo Tian northern domain were all hesitating, and some had even chosen to retreat. After all, the Luo Tian northern domain's slaughtering of planets shocked these people. Although this feeling was strong in the Luo Tian western domain, it didn't hurt them. However, this was different now. If Su Mu went crazy, the consequences would be unimaginable. With this thought in mind, the cultivators from the Luo Tian northern domain slowly retreated and scattered. However, not all of them left. There were still some people who didn't know what was good for them. Their families were clearly in the Luo Tian northern domain, but they still chased them. At the center of the Luo Tian northern domain, close to the 5 main planets, Wang Lin's figure appeared. He was very familiar with everything here, especially planet Ranyun, which he had lived on for nearly 100 years. Now that he had returned here, he didn't have time to lament. After his divine sense spread out, his eyes lit up and were filled with excitement. Found it! It is indeed still in the Luo Tian northern domain. Wang Lin's body flickered, and he charged toward the 5 main planets. In the Luo Tian star system, a few years ago, something suddenly appeared next to the 5 main planets. Back then, many cultivators saw this thing. It was a giant, strange life form. It was oval in shape and had countless tentacles extending out. It was extremely terrifying. Fortunately, this thing didn't injure anyone. After it arrived next to the 5 main planets, it shrank and turned into a giant planet. Over the years, a large amount of dust was attracted to it, forming a thin layer of land. From afar, this thing looked no different from a cultivation planet. However, the cultivators of the Luotian northern domain knew that this thing was not a cultivation planet and couldn't be provoked. Even if they passed by, they would avoid it and not dare to step onto it. A thick black fog gradually permeated the surroundings, emitting waves of eerie aura. This place had almost become a forbidden area in the Luotian northern domain several years ago. It was the Wang Yu from back then. On this day, Wang Lin stepped out from the planet formed by the Moongazer serpent. He stared at the Moongazer serpent and revealed a cautious gaze. However, he didn't hesitate to charge into the fog. The moment Wang Lin entered the fog outside the planet formed by Wang Yu, Yao Bingyun's figure appeared. She stared at the fog outside Wang Yu and frowned. This person has lured people all the way here. He must have a trick. Yao Bingyun's eyes lit up. It was as if she could see through the fog and see inside. Just at this moment, rays of light closed in from the distance. The cultivators chasing Wang Lin and the Yao family all arrived. The cultivators from the Luotian northern domain already felt that something was wrong. When they saw the planet formed by Wang Yu, their expressions became gloomy. This isn't a cultivation planet, but a strange fierce beast. Back then, I saw it turn into a planet with my own eyes. Although this thing has no attack power, it is obviously not a good thing. Could that Su Mu have lured us here to use this thing to kill someone? Yao Bingyun didn't act recklessly but carefully observe. At this moment, Wang Lin directly penetrated the fog and arrived above Wang Yu. The ground was very thin and there were tentacles swaying. Compared to before, there didn't seem to be much change. Wang Lin revealed a sneer and his body flickered. He entered Wang Yu's body and followed the traces of the past toward where Wang Yu's bones were. Come and attack. As long as you anger Wang Yu, everything will be resolved. There was a gloomy light in Wang Lin's eyes. The second update arrived. Chapter 831. When he was being chased by the Yao family and the cultivator clans, Wang Lin already had a plan to borrow the power of Wang Yu. The strength of Wang Yu left a deep impression on Wang Lin. If this Wang Yu was angered, then the Yao family and the cultivator clans would be nothing. At this moment, Wang Lin was moving extremely fast inside Wang Yu's body. He didn't care if he would agitate Wang Yu as he headed straight for where the bone was. Not long after, he arrived at the depths of the body. He saw half of Wang Yu's bone being reformed. Back then, Wang Lin wanted to take all of it, but in the end, he had to give up on the other half. His eyes lit up and he muttered to himself. Back then, the greedy wolf's mysterious cauldron was swallowed by this Wang Yu. Thinking about the cauldron, Wang Lin's heart skipped a beat. He had carefully analyzed the cauldron and was 80% sure that it was something that ancient god 2C wasn't satisfied with and casually threw away. If it was another time, Wang Lin wouldn't have thought about taking the cauldron. After all, the Wang Yu was too terrifying. Once it awakened, it would be a catastrophe. But now that there were so many cultivators outside helping him dissipate Wang Yu's anger, Wang Lin clenched his teeth and made a decision. His body flickered and he continued to move through the Moongazer serpent's body, but at the same time, his divine sense was spread out. Wang Lin knew that the Moongazer serpent's body was not safe, and smaller Moongazer serpents could appear at any time. Back then, when he pried open the Moongazer serpent's bones, he encountered one, and it took him a lot of effort to escape. At this moment, countless cultivators surrounded the planet formed by the Wang Yu. These cultivators were all hesitant. They had experienced Su Mu's ruthlessness during this chase, and it was deeply ingrained in their bones. The slightest carelessness could lead to death. Under these circumstances, when they saw Wang Lin enter the planet, their first thought was that there was something strange about this place. Coupled with the discussions of the cultivators of the Luotian northern region, Everyone knew that the planet before them was a strange beast. So what if it really is a ferocious beast? With our strength, not to mention that this thing doesn't have any attack power, even if it does, we can still kill it if we work together. A middle-aged man from the Yao family stared at the Moongazer serpent and sneered with disdain. In the records of the Yao family, there were many ferocious beasts that existed during the celestial realm. Some of them were even larger than the one before them, but in the end these ferocious beasts were all killed by the Celestials. The thing before them wasn't recorded in the family records at all. It was obvious that this thing wasn't anything special, or else it would have appeared in the family records that were passed down to the celestial realm. This thing isn't difficult to kill. Yao Yunhai withdrew his gaze. As a third-generation member of the Yao family, although his cultivation wasn't at the peak of the corporeal yang stage, he was extremely arrogant. Now that he saw Wang Yu, he didn't even consider her a threat. Yao Bingyun stared at the black fog around the planet formed by Wang Yu. Her eyes lit up and she directly charged into the fog. She immediately took the lead. After her, other cultivators with high cultivation rushed into the black fog. Yao Yunhai was one of them. With one step, he turned into a ray of light and flew into the fog on his flying sword. Gradually, more and more cultivators entered the fog. Most of these people's eyes lit up and their divine senses spread out. After confirming there was no danger, they passed through the fog and arrived on the planet formed by the Moongazer serpent. In front of them were the countless swaying tentacles on the ground. This strange scene caused the people that charged in to pause for a moment, but they immediately scattered to search for Wang Lin. Some people chose to enter the inner part of the planet to find out what was going on. Yao Bingyun landed on the ground along the swaying tentacles and sank into the ground. The moment her body sank, she had a bad feeling. Everything around her was very strange. This feeling grew stronger and stronger as she continued to sink. What kind of fierce beast is this? Yao Bingyun wasn't the only one sinking into the ground. Yao Yunhai also sank into Wang Yu's body. He charged forward without any hesitation, and a few cultivators followed closely behind him. Not all the cultivators had entered the Moongazer serpent's planet. Outside, there were still large amounts of cultivators surrounding it. There were also some Yao family members who were waiting outside. With so many cultivators entering the Moongazer serpent's body, the planet formed by the Moongazer serpent trembled. This tremble was very light, and if one didn't pay attention, they wouldn't notice it at all. Even inside the Moongazer serpent, this tremble wasn't very obvious. It only made people feel like the pressure around them had increased a bit. However, this trembling caused Wang Lin, who was moving around inside Wang Yu's body, to suddenly stop moving. Wang Lin revealed a sinister smile and muttered, "There are signs of awakening. This Moongazer serpent won't be asleep for long. With a little stimulation, it will wake up. Let me help you wake up faster." A cold light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes as he charged toward the top of Wang Yu's bone. That was a sensitive spot for Wang Yu. Back when Wang Lin entered Wang Yu's body, he had done everything he could to prevent Wang Yu from waking up. However, now that he was here, everything had changed. As he moved, Wang Lin's expression changed and he looked up. Killing intent flashed in his eyes and he charged up. Yao Yunhai's expression was arrogant as he spread out his divine sense inside Wang Yu's body and charged down. However, just at this moment, a gloomy aura spread out. Yao Yunhai's expression changed and he immediately stopped. The cultivators behind him quickly arrived. Suddenly, a crack appeared in the ground behind the cultivators that arrived. The gloomy aura became even denser and a 1,000-foot-long Wang Yu charged out like lightning. A large amount of tentacles danced around its body, making it look very shocking. This Wang Yu was too fast. Before the cultivators could react, it had swallowed one of them. Another cultivator coughed out a mouthful of blood, as if he had been hit by a powerful force. His eyes were filled with terror and he ignored his body. his origin soul charged out and dove into the ground to escape. All of this happened too fast. It happened in almost an instant. Yao Yunhai's pupils shrank and all the hair on his body stood up. He retreated without hesitation and his hands formed a seal to use a spell. However, just at this moment, Wang Lin came out from the earth behind him. Just as Yao Yunhai retreated and focused all his attention on the Moongazer serpent, Wang Lin suddenly appeared. His 2 fingers formed a sword and stabbed toward Yao Yunhai's back. By the time Yao Yunhai realized this, it was too late. His eyes were filled with determination. He gave up on his body, and his origin soul flew out from the top of his head to escape. However, Wang Lin was already prepared for this. The moment Yao Yunhai's divine sense appeared, Wang Lin's right hand was filled with origin energy and he reached out. Yao Yunhai was about to resist when the soul lasher appeared. Yao Yunhai let out a miserable groan as he was caught by Wang Lin. At the same time, Wang Lin didn't waste any time. He kicked Yao Yunhai's body, and a large amount of origin energy rushed into his body. Yao Yunhai's body collapsed into a pile of flesh and blood. There were also fluctuations of origin energy that blocked the incoming Wang Yu. Wang Lin borrowed the force to retreat and then disappeared without a trace. The 3rd chapter was delivered, 9,000 words exploded, bowing and begging for monthly votes. Chapter 832. Holding on to Yao Yunhai's origin soul, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to put it into the Honorable Soul flag in his bag of holding. He didn't slow down at all and disappeared in a flash. Behind him, the 1,000-foot Moongazer serpent charged out and gave off a cold aura. After searching for a while, it opened its mouth and seemed to suck in some of Wang Lin's remaining aura. All the hair on its body bent, as if it was wrapping around its body. It looked like it was enjoying this very much. However, a moment later, Wang Yu closed its mouth, twisted its body, and disappeared into the soil. In the distance, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light as he moved toward the top of Wang Yu's bone. He was extremely cautious along the way. If he felt something was wrong, he would immediately change directions and hide. Although the inside of Wang Yu's body is dangerous, with my understanding of it, it should be fine as long as I'm careful. Compared to the outside world, this place is much safer. Wang Lin pondered. If that's the case, why don't I hide inside Wang Yu's body? This way, if the Yao family wants to kill me, they will have to deal with Wang Yu first. Wang Lin revealed a cold smile. His speed was extremely fast, and he turned into a blur as he charged forward. Wang Yu was too big. He couldn't teleport inside its body, and because he had to be careful, Wang Lin's speed was still a bit slow. As he moved, Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed. He dodged to the side without hesitation. The moment he dodged, a blue ice crystal appeared from the side like lightning and instantly passed by where Wang Lin was. The ice crystal was almost touching Wang Lin's body. Although Wang Lin dodged, he could clearly feel the cold aura coming from the ice crystal. This aura contained origin energy, and it entered Wang Lin's body through his pores. It actually caused Wang Lin's body to stiffen. "You can't escape." A cold voice echoed in the air. 100 feet away from Wang Lin, a crack appeared and Yao Bingyun stepped out. The woman's eyes were filled with killing intent. She stared at Wang Lin and said coldly, "You killed the innocent cultivators of the Luo Tian Western region. Today I, Yao Bingyun, will take your life." Wang Lin quickly retreated. His hands were filled with origin power, and as he retreated, he slapped his body a few times, dispelling the erosion of the origin power. At the same time, he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of essence qi. After this essence qi appeared, it immediately condensed into a sword of qi and shot towards Yao Bingyun. Yao Bingyun's expression was cold and emotionless. She raised her right hand to form a seal and pointed forward. Immediately, a dazzling blue light suddenly appeared and condensed at the tip of Yao Bingyun's right hand. In a flash, everything in front of her was sealed in ice with a cracking sound, forming a layer of ice that continued to spread. Even the essence chi that Wang Lin spat out was mercilessly sealed in ice after flying several feet. Seeing that the ice was spreading towards him, Wang Lin's expression darkened. Without hesitation, he quickly retreated. His opponent was too strong, and Wang Lin knew that he had no way of resisting. Killing intent flashed in Yao Bingyun's eyes. Her hand pressed down on the layer of ice in front of her, and her body disappeared without a trace. Ice escape. Wang Lin's pupils shrank and a strong sense of danger filled his body. Without hesitation, he opened his mouth and spat out the celestial sealing stamp to block in front of him. The moment the celestial sealing stamp appeared, Yao Bingyun's figure appeared in front of Wang Lin through the layer of ice, and she pressed down with her finger. Yao Bingyun used all of her strength in this attack. The moment she pressed down, a blood-colored rune condensed on her finger and moved along with her finger to the celestial sealing stamp. 10 seals damage God seal. Yao Bingyun raised her hand and formed hand seals. In an instant, she formed 9 different hand seals. 9 blood-colored runes condensed and landed on the celestial sealing stamp in a short period of time. These blood-colored runes were extremely strange. They ignored the existence of the celestial sealing stamp and directly pierced through it toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy and he shouted, "Seal!" With one word, the hundreds of thousands of golden symbols on the celestial sealing stamp trembled and quickly formed seals. Among the hundreds of thousands of golden symbols, there were 2 that gave off powerful auras. As they took the lead, they began to weaken the power of the 10 Paragons' soul damage stamp. However, the 10 seals damage God seal was simply too strong. In an instant it pierced through all the seals. Although the 10 seals were reduced to 4, it still landed on Wang Lin's chest like lightning. It broke through Wang Lin's body and turned into 4 rays of red light that charged toward his origin soul. Popping sounds came from Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's face became pale and he coughed up a mouthful of blood, but he suppressed it. His eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent as he used the celestial sealing stamp to retreat. A moment later, he retreated far away. "He's still not dead." Yao Bingyun's phoenix eyes shined brightly. This Su Mu was extremely strange to her. If he was lucky enough to escape death when she used the 10 seals damage God seal back in the Luo Tian Western domain, it could barely be explained. However, right now she had used the full power of the 10 seals damage God seal, and even with her mid-stage nirvana scryer cultivation, she still couldn't kill the origin soul of a corporeal yang cultivator. This caused her eyes to narrow. This person must have a celestial treasure to protect his origin soul. Yao Bingyun sneered and took a step forward. The ice behind her closed in and continued to spread toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's origin soul trembled. He stared at Yao Bingyun, who was chasing after him, and killing intent appeared in his eyes. As he retreated, he raised his right hand and chopped down. The heavenly chop appeared, but he didn't chop down on Yao Bingyun. Instead, he chopped down on the mud next to him. There was a thunderous bang and the mud collapsed. Wang Yu likes silence and hates loud noises. Wang Lin knew what Wang Yu was like. As he retreated, he continued to bombard the mud next to him. Yao Bingyun's eyes revealed a hint of mockery. If this was outside, she wouldn't be able to catch up. After all, she admired Su Mu a lot when it came to spatial bending. However, in this place, teleportation was impossible, and the energy of heaven and earth had been cut off. If she wanted to catch up to him, it would be far too easy. Her body flickered, and blue light appeared beneath her feet. Although she hadn't teleported, she had the speed of teleportation, and in the blink of an eye, she had caught up to him. However, just when she caught up to Su Mu and was about to form a seal with her right hand, she discovered that Su Mu's expression was extremely calm. There wasn't the slightest bit of panic on his face. Yao Bingyun was startled, but she didn't have the time to think. A chill flashed across her eyes as she attacked. Just at this moment, an unimaginably cold aura spread out from where Wang Lin had attacked. A 1,000-foot-tall Wang Yu came out and charged at Yao Bingyun and Wang Lin. What is this? Yao Bingyun hadn't seen Wang Yu on the way here, so when she saw it, she was shocked. Wang Yu's ferocious appearance and all its hair standing up caused Yao Bingyun's mind to tremble. In particular, the aura Wang Yu gave off when it charged over wasn't any weaker than a Nirvana Scryer cultivator. The moment Wang Yu appeared, Wang Lin immediately withdrew his aura and retreated. Luring out Wang Yu was his last resort. The appearance of this thing would definitely cause a change, and only then would he have a chance to escape. Wang Lin was already prepared to be chased by the Moongazer serpent. After all, it was impossible to predict the Moongazer serpent's attack. There was a 50% chance it was targeting Yao Bingyun, but there was also a 50% chance it was targeting him. The Wang Yu that suddenly appeared twisted its body, and its hair stood up. It was very fast and closed in. What made Wang Lin feel bitter was that when Wang Yu closed in, it didn't even look at Yao Bingyun and charged directly at him. Yao Bingyun's hands formed a seal and was about to attack. However, when she saw this, her eyes lit up and she followed Wang Yu toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin continued to retreat, and the celestial sealing stamp rotated rapidly under his command. It formed a resistance force to stop the person and beast from moving forward. The hair on Wang Yu's body swayed, as if it was very excited. As it chased after Wang Lin, it opened its mouth and began to devour. It looked very comfortable. This scene caused Wang Lin to be startled. Just at this moment, the killing intent in Yao Bingyun's eyes became even stronger. With one step, she passed Wang Yu and arrived before Wang Lin. Two of her fingers formed a sword that contained a powerful blue light and mercilessly stabbed toward Wang Lin. Before Wang Lin could resist, Wang Yu let out an angry roar. All the hair on its body extended like crazy and charged toward Yao Bingyun. This scene made it seem like Yao Bingyun was trying to steal something it liked. Wang Yu had many tentacles, and as they charged out, they created a series of sharp whistles. Its main body also charged toward Yao Bingyun to devour her. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and determination appeared in his eyes. He gave up on retreating and pointed forward with his right hand. The wither Dao pair on the back of his hand moved and turned into the ferocious beast bone. The beast bone's eyes lit up and killing intent filled the area. Yao Bingyun's expression was gloomy. In front of her was Wang Lin, and behind her was the beast that seemed to have gone mad. She really couldn't understand why the beast would devour her instead after she helped. It was clearly going to attack Su Mu. The killing intent was dense. An array of gray light appeared under Yao Bingyun's feet. At the same time, Wang Yu's tentacles wrapped around her, and its 1,000-foot-long body rammed into her. Yao Bingyun clenched her teeth and formed a seal with her hands without hesitation. She pointed at the center of her brows and a blue core flew out. The moment it appeared, it gave off a cold aura. As Yao Bingyun pointed upward, the blue core gave off an extremely cold aura. Layers of ice suddenly appeared and spread out like crazy with Yao Bingyun at the center. The speed at which it spread was too fast. In almost an instant, even the gray light from the wither Dao pair was frozen. Even a large portion of the Moongazer serpent's tentacles were frozen within. However, at this moment, roars suddenly came from 4 different locations in the surrounding soil. Then, 4 1,000-foot-long Wang Yus emerged from the cracks in the soil and charged at Yao Bingyun. Yao Bingyun's face immediately turned pale. Her eyes were filled with horror as she grabbed the blue core and retreated without hesitation. The moment she retreated, killing intent flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He was a decisive and bold person. His eyes narrowed as he circulated a mouthful of yuan qi in his body and charged out. Wang Lin moved as fast as he could. He used 2 of his fingers to form a sword and imbued them with Call the Wind. As he charged out, he suddenly pressed forward. Call the Wind. A black wind appeared, forming a storm that swept toward Yao Bingyun. At the same time, the Wang Yus had already arrived. They roared angrily and wrapped around Yao Bingyun. Yao Bingyun's face was pale. She had never felt such a sense of danger in countless years. She clenched her teeth and looked at the blue core in her hand. Her heart ached, but she still crushed it without hesitation. The moment the blue core was crushed, a crazed power erupted from within. That power was so strong that it formed a vortex of ice. As it howled, everything in the area was frozen at a terrifying speed. That power continued to spread through the cracks in the earth, and in the blink of an eye, the area within a radius of thousands of kilometers was covered in thin layers of ice. Ice escape. Yao Bingyun's left hand formed a seal and her body charged out. She borrowed the power of the vortex to escape. Within thousands of kilometers, as long as there was ice, she could escape. The moment Yao Bingyun's figure disappeared, Wang Lin didn't hesitate after using Call the Wind. He raised his right hand and pointed at Yao Bingyun again. Stop art! Yao Bingyun's body suddenly trembled, but almost at the same time, she returned to normal and disappeared. But at the instant she disappeared, the black wind pierced through the layer of ice and directly blew away. A muffled groan came from the void and gradually faded away. Killing intent flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. As the layer of ice reached him, he put away the celestial sealing stamp and quickly retreated. He didn't even look back. Not long after, with Wang Lin carefully avoiding the ice, he followed the remaining half of Wang Yu's bone to the top. This was where Wang Yu's bone and Wang Yu's nerves were connected. After arriving here, Wang Lin became even more cautious. The place where Wang Yu's bone and nerves intersected should have been inseparable, but now, perhaps because Wang Lin had pulled out all of the bone, there were many gaps that he could enter. These gaps were very small to Wang Yu, but to Wang Lin they were like a ravine. He entered the gap, but the moment he entered, Wang Lin's body stopped. What appeared before him was a web of red threads. At a glance, there seemed to be no end to these threads. They were so dense that they seemed to cover the entire area. Wang Lin pondered and carefully took a few steps forward. He stared at the countless red threads before him, then he grabbed one and mercilessly pulled. The entire cultivation planet formed by Wang Yu suddenly trembled. Large amounts of dust were kicked into the air, and even the black fog around it suddenly shrank. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he no longer hesitated. He raised his right hand and activated the heavenly chop. The red threads were cut and collapsed. At this moment, a violent tremble spread out from the giant Wang Yu's body. The moongazer serpent trembled even more violently. The black fog around the planet shrank like crazy and was absorbed into the planet. Large amounts of dust collapsed as the moongazer serpent trembled, forming countless specks of dust. A muffled roar that seemed to come from ancient times came from Wang Yu's body. Chapter 833. Although this sound wasn't loud, it contained the power to directly impact the origin soul. The cultivators outside Wang Yu's cultivation planet didn't feel it too deeply, but the cultivators inside Wang Yu's body were the first to bear the brunt of it. Among these cultivators, there were people from the Yao family and people from other cultivation families. At this moment, they were all trembling inside Wang Yu's body. A fear that came from the depths of their souls appeared. Almost everyone's first thought was to immediately leave this place. They all charged upward, and some of the cultivators were closer to the ground. Just as they were about to leave, the countless swaying tentacles on the ground moved and quickly wrapped around them. These long tentacles formed a tight seal. Anyone who wanted to charge out failed. As more and more cultivators charged out from the ground, the tentacles released black fog. No one could leave. All spells and treasures lost their effect on these tentacles. One of the cultivators was wrapped up by countless tentacles when he charged out, and his body was crushed. As for his origin soul, it was absorbed the moment it was touched by the tentacles. The scene caused the surrounding cultivators to be dumbfounded. Yao Bingyun's figure appeared inside Wang Yu's body using the ice escape technique. The moment she appeared, she coughed out a mouthful of black blood. Her face turned blue as if there were black lines moving across her face. "What kind of spell is this?" Yao Bingyun's body trembled and she coughed out more blood. This blood was even darker than before. The moment she used the ice escape technique, she was hit by the black wind and felt a chill in her body. With the spell she cultivated, she shouldn't feel cold at all, but just now, that feeling was very clear. What shocked her even more was that, after the black wind entered her body, she had already expelled a large amount of it. However, there was still a trace of it that she could not expel no matter what she did. As a result, her body was constantly in a cold and weak state. What terrified her even more was that her origin power was actually showing signs of dissipating. Yao Bingyun's expression became even more blue. She took a deep breath and charged toward the ground. However, just as she charged out, she saw countless swaying tentacles sweeping the area. No cultivator could charge out. Previously, when Yao Bingyun saw the tentacle, she only felt that it was strange, but did not pay much attention to it. However, now that she looked at it, with her intelligence, she immediately recognized that the tentacle was exactly the same as the tentacle that had attacked her from the mysterious ferocious beast. Yao Bingyun's pupils rapidly shrank and a chill came from the bottom of her heart. The chill spread throughout her body, and her scalp went numb. She stared at the countless tentacles with an extremely ugly expression. There was even extreme fear and disbelief in her eyes. These tentacles. What the Northern Domain cultivators said was true. This cultivation planet is what the fierce beast I encountered looks like after being magnified countless times. The violent tremors continued. In the end, large areas of the ground started to collapse, turning into countless dust particles that spread out. A moment later, the roar coming from Wang Yu became even more intense. At this moment, Wang Lin was constantly cutting the red lines. Every time a red line was broken, the tremors from Wang Yu would intensify. As he charged forward, Wang Lin gradually entered the center of the red lines. The deeper he went, the more red lines there were. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he continued to use the heavenly chop and the red lines collapsed one by one. Shortly after, he suddenly stopped. He saw a red line as thick as a person stretching out before him. This red line was much thicker than anything he had seen before. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He rushed out without any hesitation, grabbed it, and mercilessly tore it. A crazy roar echoed inside Wang Yu's body, and the red line was torn by Wang Lin. With a bang, the cultivation planet formed by Wang Yu began its final collapse. An ancient aura spread out, and before the dumbfounded gazes of all the cultivators outside, a giant crack appeared in the middle of the planet. The crack gradually opened and turned into a giant oval object. An aura of anger filled the area. Wang Yu had awakened. The moment Wang Yu awakened, Wang Lin withdrew his aura and quickly hid himself. He sat down in the lotus position inside Wang Yu's body with a vigilant expression. Roar. A roar came from the moongazer serpent like a storm, and it was as if countless thunderclaps were echoing inside the moongazer serpent. This sound created a sonic boom that spread out continuously, causing the expressions of the surrounding cultivators to change greatly, and they continued to retreat. At this moment, no matter what cultivation level they were at, when they faced Wang Yu, they felt an irresistible sense of fear. Giant tentacles slowly spread out and swayed around the moongazer serpent. At the same time, a giant crack slowly appeared on the moongazer serpent's head. What is this? This cultivation planet is actually formed by a fierce beast. How can we kill something like this? This beast must have existed before the celestial realm collapsed. That Su Mu lured us here to kill us with a borrowed knife. We can't resist this beast, quickly retreat. Bursts of exclamations echoed. More than half of the surrounding cultivators retreated without hesitation. In their view, unless one was at the peak of the second step, it was impossible to resist this beast. Wang Yu was extremely angry. The pain from its body wasn't serious, it was only enough to wake it up. What it was really angry about was that its sleep had been disturbed so quickly. These few decades were like the blink of an eye to it. In its mind, it felt like it had just fallen asleep and was immediately awakened. This feeling made it very irritable. At this moment, it saw the countless weak life forms trying to retreat, so it let out a roar. This roar was several times stronger than before, causing the surrounding space to shatter. Countless spatial cracks spread like crazy and spread across the entire northern Luotian domain. Some of the cultivators' bodies exploded from the roar. Their origin souls couldn't escape and immediately collapsed. The wrath of the Moongazer serpent hadn't dissipated. This was just the beginning. Its body moved forward. To the Moongazer serpent, this was just a movement of its body. However, to the cultivators in front of it, it was a giant beast charging over with a violent roar. The pupils of all the cultivators before it shrank. Tomorrow at midnight, asking for monthly votes. Chapter 834. The cultivators in front of Wang Yu only felt a powerful gust of wind before their bodies trembled and they lost consciousness. Wang Yu's giant body charged forward at a rapid speed. Space itself seemed like it was going to collapse, and a series of popping sounds echoed. Most of the cultivators surrounding Wang Lin were at the peak of the late stage of ascendant or illusory yin. There weren't many corporeal yang cultivators, and there were even fewer nirvana scryer cultivators. If these cultivators were unlucky enough to be hit by Wang Yu, their bodies would immediately collapse into a pile of flesh and blood. As for their origin souls, they wouldn't be able to escape and would be directly shattered. At this moment, a series of miserable screams could be heard. The surrounding cultivators ran even faster in fear. This is not something we can resist. It's not worth it to lose our lives for the reward from the Yao family. Forget it, this Sumu can actually borrow the power of this thing. It's best not to provoke such a person. While he isn't paying attention to us, let's quickly leave. The family ancestor is right. The family only allows cultivators below the illusory yin stage to participate in this hunt for Sumu. After all, this Sumu is not someone to be trifled with. Various thoughts appeared in the cultivators' minds and they quickly retreated. Wang Yu's giant body paused for a moment and the giant wound on its head suddenly opened as if it was going to split its body in half. A sharp roar came from its mouth like crazy. This sound was too strong and formed an unimaginable penetrating force. It spread like crazy with Wang Yu as the center. The sonic booms were like countless bolts of thunder exploding. The cultivators that hadn't escaped too far immediately had their origin souls and bodies shattered. With a violent roar, Wang Yu's body began to move among the stars. Its countless tentacles swayed and became its most powerful treasure. Whenever a cultivator touched it, their faces would immediately turn pale. If they were touched continuously, their origin souls would immediately dissipate and they would die. This scene was extremely shocking. The Moongazer serpent's oval body, which was as large as a cultivation planet, was swaying countless tentacles. Around it were cultivators that were constantly retreating but couldn't teleport. Fear and horror could be seen on the faces of almost all the cultivators. This was a massacre, the extermination of cultivators by the Moongazer serpent. As the Moongazer serpent's anger erupted, the surrounding cultivators only hated themselves for being too slow. Endless regret appeared in their hearts. The cultivators on the 5 main planets of the northern Luotian domain all flew out from their cultivation planet. They were terrified and activated the formations on their planet. No one dared to go out to help. After the roar, the Moongazer serpent suddenly stopped and a low roar came from its body. Shortly after, rays of dark light flashed and small Moongazer serpents that were 10,000 feet, 1,000 feet, or even hundreds of feet charged out from its mouth. These Moongazer serpents were countless times smaller than their main bodies, but in the eyes of the surrounding cultivators, they were still very large. With the appearance of these small Wang Yu, this massacre reached its peak. Countless Moongazer serpents spread out and devoured the surrounding cultivators. Aside from a few Nirvana scryer cultivators who were lucky enough to escape, the The rest of the Yao family members all died. More than half of the cultivators from the Luo Tian star system that came to help died under the anger of Wang Yu. The entire star system was filled with the smell of blood. However, Wang Yu's anger hadn't completely disappeared. As its large body moved, waves of complex, human-like words came from its mouth. This scene caused the remaining cultivators to be scared out of their wit. They found it hard to imagine that such a huge beast could have a spell. If the beast used a spell, everything in the area would be destroyed. The awakening of Wang Yu was a catastrophe. At this moment, there were 3 people standing 50,000 kilometers away from where Wang Yu was wreaking havoc in the northern domain of the Luo Tian star system. The figures of these 3 people were blurry. Their ages were all different, but without exception, they all gave off a terrifying aura. Master Flamespark was among the 3 of them. Master Flamespark revealed a smile and slowly said, "I didn't expect this little fellow to lead people to the moon beast. However, if he didn't do this, he wouldn't have caught my eye." Master Flamespark withdrew his gaze and smiled. "Fellow cultivators, the old man has been planning this plan for many years. What caught his eye was this moon beast. I came here this time to show you the strength of this beast. Now that you have seen it, do you agree with this old man's plan?" Master Flamespark withdrew his gaze and smiled. Master Flamespark withdrew his gaze and smiled. "Master Flamespark, your plan is very crazy." Beside Master Flamespark, a middle-aged man wearing a purple-black robe with a yin and yang pattern on his chest frowned and calmly spoke. "I feel that although this plan is crazy, once it succeeds, it will increase our chances of winning by 10%. The last person among the 3 was an old man wearing a red robe. He looked kind, but there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. This made it clear that this old man was not a good person. The middle-aged man wearing the purple-black robe let out a cold snort and no longer spoke. "It is crazy, but if the cultivators of the Luo Tian star system don't have enough strength to start a war with the Alliance star system, there is no chance of winning at all. There are too few cultivators in the Luo Tian star system that have experienced life and death calamities. This is the drawback of cultivating in a family. In the Alliance star system, even among the disciples and masters of sects, there is always infighting. If you are a bit careless, you will be killed. To survive in such an environment, they are all cunning, fierce, and decisive. Look at this Sumu. He should know this better than the old man." The middle-aged man in the purple-black robe pondered. As for the red-robed old man beside him, he faintly smiled and said, "This Sumu is very good. He is very suitable to become a member of my planet Dong Lin." Master Flamespark's eyes shined brightly and he smiled. "We, the 108 Celestials, are looking for people who are decisive. Only with them, as the lead, can all the cultivators of the All-Heaven star system undergo a blood baptism." Master Flamespark's eyes lit up and he smiled. The red-robed old man named Xiang smiled and said, "It looks like Blood God is really decisive." In order to allow his family to adapt to the upcoming battle of the Alliance, he didn't hesitate to use that treasure to exchange for a blood sacrifice for his family. Blood God only wants to obtain more benefits in the Alliance battle. However, even I didn't expect him to be so decisive. That treasure only has one use left. I didn't expect him to not keep it for himself. Master Flamespark shook his head. His eyes were filled with pity, but there was also a hint of admiration. The black-robed middle-aged man that hadn't spoken until now coldly said, "According to our investigation, this Sumu is from the Alliance star system. Master Flamespark, you value him so much. Are you not afraid that he will rebel once he arrives in the Alliance star system?" There was a flash of coldness in Master Flamespark's eyes. He stared at the middle-aged man and smiled. "Fellow cultivator Gongsun, the old man is also from the Alliance star system. Are you not afraid that I will organize this plan and he will rebel in the Alliance star system?" The middle-aged man coldly looked at Master Flamespark before withdrawing his gaze and no longer asking about this matter. Master Flamespark let out a cold snort and thought, the old man already knows about this Sumu's origin. This person is being hunted here, and his situation is very similar to mine. With his personality, the chance of him rebelling is very low. Even if he does rebel, the old man will just kill him. Who needs you to tell him what to do? The old man really doesn't care about an ancient cultivation family. Forget it. Since fellow cultivator Flamespark is so confident, then let's not talk about it anymore. It is time for us to make a move on this moon beast. After all, if too many people die, it will be a loss to my Luotian star system. However, we need to think about how to control this moon beast. The red-robed old man looked at the void before him. It was as if his gaze could penetrate 100,000 kilometers away. This matter is not difficult. With us joining forces, along with those old monsters, we will be able to drive this moon beast into the Alliance star system. At that time, Master Flamespark's eyes were filled with madness and he disappeared. As for the other two, they also disappeared in a flash. Wang Yu vented her anger as much as she wanted. Countless tentacles swept by and harvested the lives of cultivators one by one. Her violent roar caused the surrounding space to shatter. While these cultivators' minds were shaken, they couldn't teleport away. No matter how fast these cultivators escaped, they couldn't compare to Wang Yu's speed. In particular, the small Wang Yus devoured them, causing the surrounding cultivators to feel despair. The smell of blood spread out and the Moongazer serpent's huge body slowly moved. However, at this instant, a blood-colored octagonal pattern appeared above the Moongazer serpent. The octagonal pattern gave off an extremely powerful aura. When this aura spread out, it immediately created ripples. These ripples gave off an illusion that made anyone who touched it feel like they couldn't resist it. There was a person standing above the octagonal pattern. This person was the red-robed old man named Xiang. At this moment, the old man's expression was serious as he descended with the formation. As the ripples spread out, they seemed to surround Wang Yu's large body, forming a prison. The red-robed old man shouted, "All of you, hurry up, I can't stop it for long." The angry aura from Wang Yu inside the octagonal formation reached a peak. It let out a roar as it charged out. Wang Yu's large body became crazy. At the same time, Master Flamespark stepped out from the void beside Wang Yu. He waved his sleeves and a large amount of cultivators merged with the world. They were sucked into the stars and disappeared, just finished writing and editing the script. Chapter 835. On the other side, the black-robed man also appeared in an instant. He formed a seal with his right hand and grabbed at the air. Immediately, a huge vortex appeared in front of him. The vortex moved like lightning, and any cultivator that it touched would immediately merge with the ground and disappear. Master Flamespark and the black-robed man were both very fast. The moment the red-robed old man locked onto Wang Yu, they knocked the surrounding cultivators into the earth. If they met a member of the Yao family, Master Flamespark would deliberately increase his strength by 10%. This would seriously injure the members of the Yao family and cause them to cough out blood before disappearing into the earth. The Moongazer serpent was furious. Although this octagonal seal only sealed it, the surrounding smaller Moongazer serpents also had octagonal seals appear around them, temporarily obstructing it. Anger rushed into Wang Yu's body. It couldn't remember how many years it had been since it was sealed like this. It let out an angry roar as it smashed its body in all directions. Every time it smashed, an octagonal seal would appear in the void, creating a powerful rebound force. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the Moongazer serpent's anger became even stronger. In an instant, 2 cracks appeared on the Moongazer serpent's head and mouth. These 2 cracks were the eyes of the Moongazer serpent. Its eyes were cloudy and seemed to be filled with clouds, but there was also a hint of madness. Bursts of vague murmurs came from Wang Yu's mouth. In an instant, countless specks of light appeared before Wang Yu and formed an incomparably large and slightly rough finger. Wang Yu's anger was like the finger of an ancient god. Quick! The red-robed old man didn't hesitate to press his hands on the formation. His expression became even more serious and he shouted, "Quick!" As his voice echoed, his clothes fluttered and his hair moved without any wind. Large amounts of origin energy surged inside his body, as if a storm had appeared inside his body. Under the octagonal seal, the finger that appeared in front of Wang Yu caused the red-robed old man's mind to tremble. As Wang Yu's roar rang out again, the ancient god's finger immediately pressed down on the octagonal seal. His finger pressed down on the octagonal seal, and it collapsed into countless fragments. The red-robed old man's face immediately turned pale, and he retreated with the fragments. In a flash, he charged at Master Flamespark and the black-robed middle-aged man. At this moment, the two of them had already sent away all the surrounding cultivators. Master Flamespark stared at Wang Yu. His eyes were filled with excitement and he laughed. "What a good moon beast! If I send you to the Alliance star system, Master Xian Zhongzi will be shocked." As the Moongazer serpent roared, the ancient god finger before it pressed down on Master Flamespark and company. It was as if a real ancient god had descended into the world, raised his finger, and pointed forward. "Fellow cultivators, we can't resist the moon beast's strongest attack. Unless our original bodies come, we might be able to deal with it. Now that our goal has been achieved, let's personally experience the power of the moon beast." Master Flamespark laughed as he charged directly at the ancient god finger. The moment he charged out, Master Flamespark's body shined brightly. In the blink of an eye, a monstrous flame came out from his body and surrounded his entire body. The Moongazer serpent's finger closed in. The moment it landed on Master Flamespark let out a roar and his hand formed a seal. The fire around his body gathered like crazy and turned into a fire dragon that charged at the ancient god finger. This fire dragon was Master Flamespark's everything. When the fire dragon charged out, Master Flamespark's body disappeared. It was as if his origin soul was gone as well. Only this fire dragon remained and collided with the ancient god finger. There was a thunderous bang and a violent echo echoed across most of the northern domain of the Luo de continent. The fire dragon collapsed into endless flames that surrounded the ancient god finger and began to burn. The red-robed old man's eyes revealed a strange light. He let out a laugh and took a step forward. His right hand formed a seal, and he pressed it between his eyebrows. In an instant, his entire body turned into a thin, red sword. The moment the ancient god finger was surrounded by flames, he stabbed forward. The black-robed middle-aged man also revealed a decisive gaze. He thought that he could give up on this avatar, but he had to experience the moon beast's strongest attack. Perhaps he would gain something from it. At his level of cultivation, it was extremely difficult for him to take a step forward. To him, this Luna beast might be an opportunity for him. As he charged out, the black-robed man's hand formed a seal, and he turned into a black eagle. Although this black eagle was only an illusion, it gave off an ancient aura. It charged directly at the ancient god finger. At this moment, the entire northern territory of Luoda was filled with an unimaginable rumble. It was as if the entire northern territory was collapsing. All the cultivators on the cultivation planets could feel the voice of the divine sense that shook them greatly. The fire dragon collapsed. The red sword shattered. The black eagle dissipated. The ancient god finger became even dimmer, but it wasn't damaged at all. As the Wang Yu let out a roar, the remaining ancient god finger swept the area once before turning into specks of light and entering the Wang Yu's body. The Moongazer serpent's eyes were cold and it opened its mouth. The countless smaller Moongazer serpents all entered its mouth and disappeared. The giant Moongazer serpent slowly moved forward. As its countless tentacles swayed, it gradually disappeared among the stars. At this moment, in the Thunder Celestial Temple in the Luo de Star system, there were 3 people sitting in a secret chamber. Below them was an ancient formation, and the 3 of them were sitting in the key positions of the formation. One of them was Master Flamespark. At this moment, Master Flamespark suddenly opened his eyes and began to ponder. At the same time, the other 2 also opened their eyes. They were the red-robed old man named Xiang and the black-robed middle-aged man. The black-robed middle-aged man said, "Very strong." The red-robed old man named Xiang slowly said, "This moon beast is indeed as recorded in the old man's family. It can't be easily provoked." There was a hint of madness in Master Flamespark's eyes as he calmly said, "Since this is the case, we need to unite many people to capture this Wang Yu alive." In the eastern domain of the vast domain, on the blood-red planet in the Yao family's ancestral hall, more than 10 tokens behind Blood God shattered into white gas. Blood God waved his sleeve and put them away. His eyes were gloomy as he looked up at the sky and muttered to himself, "They are indeed worthy of being people from the Alliance star system. Compared to the 3rd generation of my Yao family, they are much more decisive and tenacious when it comes to killing." After pondering for a long time, Blood God's right hand reached out and a ray of red light condensed into a blood-colored jade. "Send the 2nd generation Yao Yun to the Great Civ North region to take Su Mu's life." Leaving behind a thought, the jade slip disappeared in front of the Blood God's son, turning into a bloody light and disappearing. In the vast domain of the vast domain, the name Master Demon Su Mu was known to all cultivators after the tragedy in the northern domain of the vast domain. Under the pursuit of the Yao family and countless cultivators, not only did this person not die, he borrowed the power of the giant beast to launch a terrifying counterattack. This caused a majority of cultivators to die and shocked the entire vast domain of the vast domain. No other cultivation families dared to participate in the matter with the Yao family. The news brought by all the cultivators that survived the battle with Wang Yu spread across the vast domain of the vast domain like a storm. Master Demon Su Mu was not to be provoked unless it was absolutely necessary. This person was extremely crazy. Not only was he very strong, but he was also bloodthirsty like a demon. Not only did he slaughter low-level cultivators, but in order to counterattack, he awakened the giant beast and caused a catastrophe. This kind of cultivator's notoriety could even be compared to Planet Dong Lin. As a result, no one had any thoughts of participating. Similarly, the rumors about Su Mu in the Thunder Celestial Realm spread once more and were deeply engraved in the hearts of all cultivators. The fame of Master Demon was beyond imagination in the vast domain of the vast domain of the vast domain. Wang Lin naturally didn't know any of this. At this moment, his expression was gloomy as he cautiously moved through Wang Yu's body. Behind him, there were countless smaller Wang Yus chasing him. These Wang Yus all had curved tentacles as if they were extremely excited. As they chased, they devoured the aura that Wang Lin released as he moved. Wang Lin frowned and continued to move forward. He had long felt that something was wrong. This time, when he entered Wang Yu's body, it was completely different from last time. This time, when the smaller Wang Yus saw him, they were all extremely excited. When Yao Bingyun attacked him, the Wang Yu actually helped him. This scene caused Wang Lin to ponder. It must be because of the ancient god leather armor. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. With a thought, the ancient god leather armor separated from his origin soul and appeared in his hand. He immediately put it away into his bag of holding. After doing all of this, his body flickered and he quickly changed directions. The Wang Yus chasing him immediately became irritable. It was as if someone had taken something they loved. They angrily roared as they scattered and continued to search. Wang Lin let out a sigh of relief. As he carefully moved through Wang Yu's body, he continued to search for the greedy wolf's furnace. This furnace was something that made his heart beat faster. However, just at this moment, a tremor came from all directions inside Wang Yu's body. This tremor turned into a ripple that immediately closed in on Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression changed, and he quickly retreated to avoid this ripple. However, another ripple appeared behind him. This ripple was too fast and immediately passed through Wang Lin's body. In an instant, the ripple dissipated. It was as if this ripple was the spell Wang Yu used to find the foreign object inside her body. This allowed Wang Yu to find where Wang Lin was. A muffled roar echoed inside the Moongazer serpent's body. It was the spell that could shatter the origin soul. This roar was weak at first, but in an instant, it became more and more intense. In the end, it turned into countless thunderous rumbles that echoed like crazy. Chapter 836. As the violent sound echoed, Wang Lin's face immediately turned pale. He felt like his origin soul was being torn apart. Before, he had the protection of the ancient god leather armor, so this feeling wasn't obvious. However, this pain caused blood to flow out of his orifices. At this moment of crisis, Wang Lin bitterly smiled. He slapped his bag of holding and the ancient god leather armor appeared. He let out a sigh and once again covered his origin soul. At this moment, it was as if he was isolated from the world around him. Although the rumbling was powerful, when it reached his origin soul, it was much weaker, allowing Wang Lin to endure it. However, the aura from the ancient god leather armor caused the violent miniature Wang Yu inside Wang Yu's body to immediately rush toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's scalp went numb and he was in a dilemma. If he took off the leather armor, his origin soul would collapse from the roar, but if he put on the leather armor, it would attract a large amount of smaller Moongazer serpents. As he let out a sigh, Wang Lin's expression changed and a cold aura filled the area. The earth before him suddenly split open, and a 100-foot large Wang Yu charged out like it was cheering and charged toward Wang Lin. From Wang Lin's perspective, the large mouth was not as simple as absorbing the aura from the armor. Wang Lin had cultivated for 1,000 years, so he had long since lost the illusion of comforting himself. He didn't believe that this Wang Yu would recognize him as its master because of the aura of the ancient god. At this moment, Wang Lin's expression was serious and his eyes were cold. He quickly retreated. As the 100-foot large Wang Yu charged over, its large mouth continued to devour the aura coming from Wang Lin's body. No cultivator could sense this aura, not even the fierce beasts with inheritances from ancient times. In this world, aside from the star-marked sable and a few other creatures, only the Moongazer serpent was extremely sensitive to the aura of an ancient god. The coldness in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger. This Wang Yu was probably going to devour him as well as the aura of the ancient god. Just as Wang Lin retreated, an even colder aura surrounded the area. Wang Lin's expression became even more gloomy and he changed directions without looking back. The earth behind him split open and a 1,000-foot Moongazer serpent charged out. This Moongazer serpent's beard was wrapped around its body, and it opened its mouth as if it was extremely excited. Large amounts of mucus came out of its mouth and charged at Wang Lin to devour him. Wang Lin changed directions and cracking sounds came from all directions. More than 10 cracks appeared and Wang Yu of different sizes charged out toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. As he retreated, the origin energy inside his body surged and formed a vortex of collapsing force. With a bang, he retreated even faster. Behind him was a large amount of Wang Yu chasing. These Wang Yu's eyes were filled with excitement, but there was a terrifying coldness hidden deep within their excitement. They wanted to devour the aura of the armor and even more so, they wanted to devour Wang Lin. That way, they would forever have the aura that excited them. Wang Lin's scalp went numb when he was chased by so many Wang Yu. His expression changed greatly and he revealed a bitter smile. He stopped and saw that more than 100 cracks had appeared in the ground before him. Wang Yu charged out, and in an instant, they formed a dense encirclement with the large group of Wang Yu chasing after Wang Lin and trapped Wang Lin. Just as these Wang Yu charged out and were about to devour Wang Lin, Wang Lin clenched his teeth and revealed a ruthless gaze. At this moment, a violent roar came from within the Wang Yu's body. As this roar echoed, the many Wang Yus that were about to devour Wang Lin immediately retreated. As the Wang Yu moved, a path opened up in the circle that surrounded Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, but just at this moment, cracking sounds echoed. A giant Wang Yu that was 100,000 feet long charged out from the path. It was too fast, and it gave off a powerful aura that was not any weaker than the blood ancestors. In an instant, Wang Lin's expression changed greatly. As the 100,000 feet Wang Yu charged out, it moved at an unbelievable speed and directly devoured Wang Lin. Once it devoured Wang Lin, it immediately shrank back into the earth and charged into the distance. Behind it, all the other moongazer serpents followed, moving into the distance. The 100,000 feet tall Wang Yu's body was gray, and as it moved, it revealed a ruthless gaze. It was too fast, and it was like a fish in water inside the mother's body. It only took half the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn before it arrived at a strange place. There was no earth here, only a giant vortex that slowly rotated. Every time it rotated, it would release waves of cold energy that fused with the surroundings. If Wang Lin could see this vortex, he would definitely recognize it as the location of the Wang Yu's brain. It was also the location of the moonlight. After arriving here, the 100,000 feet tall Wang Yu suddenly opened its mouth and spat out. Wang Lin's body was pushed out by a powerful force. He couldn't resist at all as he disappeared into the vortex. The large group of Wang Yus outside the vortex all knelt down and remained motionless. After Wang Lin entered the vortex, his eyes lit up. After he was devoured by the 100,000 feet tall Wang Yu, a strange aura came from the Wang Yu's body. This aura rushed into Wang Lin's body, causing his origin energy to stop moving as if it was separated from his body. This caused him to go from a cultivator to a mortal. This scene caused Wang Lin's mind to tremble violently. However, he immediately noticed that the ancient god leather armor on his origin soul released a suction force and immediately absorbed the mysterious aura inside his body. As a result, the origin energy in his body was able to move again. Now that he had been ejected into the vortex, he gasped and was visibly moved by what he saw. This was a long and narrow space. Tentacles extended out from the void and slowly wiggled. Before Wang Lin was a giant cauldron that was wrapped up by countless tentacles as if they were absorbing the aura inside. The tentacles wiggled and moved into the void. This cauldron was the item that belonged to the greedy wolf. This cauldron only caused Wang Lin to gasp. What shocked him was the people wrapped around the tentacles. These people were all naked and skinny. There were men and women, old and young. They were so densely packed that almost every tentacle had a person on it. Their eyes were closed and there was no sign of life from their bodies, as if they were corpses. The tentacles wrapped around them were clearly absorbing their life force. Wang Lin didn't recognize any of these people. However, he could vaguely sense that not all of these people were cultivators. There were mortals among them. For example, there was a boy that looked to be around 6 or 7 years old. Although his body was wrinkled and not human-like, one could tell from his young body that he was indeed a child. At this moment, his entire body was just skin and bones, without any signs of life. His face still retained an expression of extreme pain and despair. A chill emerged from Wang Lin's heart and immediately surrounded his body. His gaze looked into the depths of this place. There was no end in sight. Wang Lin could imagine that there were more tentacles ahead and that every tentacle had people wrapped around it. Wang Lin was silent. He could guess that these people were all devoured by Wang Yu over the countless years and accumulated to become the source of life for Wang Yu. There was even a terrifying thought in Wang Yu's mind. Back then, the planet Yunxia that Wang Yu turned into the ruins of the cities. There must have been cultivators and mortals before planet Yunxia. Did they really migrate away? Wang Lin took a deep breath and revealed a complicated expression. His gaze was still on the boy that was around 6 or 7 years old. Just at this moment, countless tentacles appeared in the sky and shot toward Wang Lin like lightning. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. If he didn't have the ancient god leather armor, he would have been like a mortal without any ability to resist. He would have died after being wrapped around by the tentacles. However, at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent. He didn't touch the tentacles but dodged them at an even faster speed as he charged toward the large cauldron. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Wang Lin didn't want to destroy these tentacles. Otherwise, once Wang Yu noticed, she would immediately make a new move. As he charged forward, the tentacles missed. Wang Lin's body was like a wisp of smoke as he arrived at the large cauldron. An ancient aura came from the large cauldron and spread out. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The aura inside the large cauldron was even stronger. The tentacles wrapped around the cauldron only wrapped around the outside as if they didn't want to go inside. At this moment, countless tentacles appeared behind Wang Lin and charged toward Wang Lin. Without hesitation, Wang Lin dove into the large cauldron. The moment he dove into the cauldron, the vortex at the entrance suddenly erupted with a powerful force. Shortly after, the figure of a woman appeared in the vortex. Her face was pale and her eyes were closed. It was obvious that she had lost consciousness. As soon as she appeared, half of the tentacles that were charging toward Wang Lin quickly wrapped around her and began to absorb her life force. The moment Wang Lin entered the cauldron, he saw the woman's appearance. This woman was Yao Bingyun. Yao Bingyun's clothes were corroded by the tentacles. Even her bag of holding couldn't escape and collapse. At this moment, Yao Bingyun's clothes were torn and tattered, revealing a large portion of her skin. Her eyelashes trembled, but at this moment, she opened her eyes. The third watch was over, there should be no typo. There were less than 60 hours left at the end of the month. These 60 hours would determine the fate of the renegade immortal sect in July. Chapter 837. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he entered the furnace. The space inside the furnace was limited, so after Wang Lin entered, he immediately activated all the origin energy in his body. The tentacles that extended from the outside wrapped around the furnace, but they didn't enter the furnace and just lingered outside. Wang Lin let out a sigh of relief. At this moment, it could only be said that this place was temporarily safe. He began to ponder and ignored the outside world. He immediately sat down and closed his eyes to cultivate. The moment he closed his eyes, a shadow flashed behind him and Ta Shan walked out. He also sat down inside the furnace and his eyes lit up. If there was any sign of trouble, he would immediately protect Wang Lin without any hesitation. As Wang Lin sat there, exhaustion emerged from his heart. Ever since he entered the Thunder Celestial Realm, he had been very cautious. When he left the Thunder Celestial Realm, he was sent into the Nether Beast's body. After a fierce battle, he finally came out and returned to the Luo Tian star system. Originally, he planned to take the chosen immortal clan to planet Qingling and find Li Yuan to learn the annihilation restriction. However, what happened next forced Wang Lin to fight, to be ruthless, and to fight back. The pursuit of the Yao family and the participation of some cultivation families caused Wang Lin to flee for his life. Although he had the advantage, the feeling of being seriously injured or killed if he was the slightest bit careless had accumulated more and more. At this moment, a lot of it had accumulated in Wang Lin's body. Now that he was sitting inside the furnace, Wang Lin's exhausted body and mind barely relaxed. The cultivators outside must have suffered countless casualties from Wang Yu's attacks. Presumably, there won't be any more pursuers in a short period of time. Even if there are, they won't be able to enter Wang Yu's body to find me. Although this place is dangerous, it is also a safe place. Wang Lin closed his eyes and the origin energy in his body cycled around his origin soul to slowly nourish it. As his elemental energy circulated, waves of piercing pain came from his yuan shun. Wang Lin's expression remained calm. He had been in danger many times over the past few days. If not for the ancient god leather armor protecting his yuan shun, he would have died long ago. The cruelty of the cultivation world and the possibility of dying at any moment could not affect Wang Lin's Tao heart. He had already gotten used to this kind of experience when he was in the Alliance star system. It could be said that this kind of experience had accompanied him his entire life. Yao Bingyun's divine ability is too damaging to the soul. If it weren't for the ancient god leather armor. Wang Lin opened his eyes, and a cold light flashed in them. His physical body wasn't injured, but his nascent soul was. Even with the leather armor, it was still injured. However, it wasn't very serious. He calmed himself down and began to meditate, slowly immersing himself in the breathing exercises. Outside the furnace, countless tentacles slowly swayed. Close to the vortex, Yao Bingyun's face was pale. There was no panic in her eyes, only calmness. When she escaped from the cultivation planet formed by the Wang Yu, she was chased by a 100,000-foot Wang Yu. The Wang Yu devoured her, and a mysterious force entered her body. This caused her origin energy to be separated, and she became immortal. Shortly after, she lost consciousness. The moment she awoke, she discovered that she was in this place. The tentacles wrapped around her body were extremely tight. An ice-cold feeling spread out from the tentacles and circulated within her body, slowly absorbing the yuan power that had been separated from her. This process wasn't fast, but it didn't stop and continued. Yao Bingyun's eyes were calm. Her heart was focused on Tao, and her personality was calm. Although she could feel her origin energy slowly being absorbed, she knew that panicking wouldn't change her situation. Only by calming down could she think of a way to escape. However, when she clearly saw her surroundings, her face immediately turned pale. The countless tentacles and the skinny people almost caused Yao Bingyun's calmness to collapse. After a long time, she took a deep breath and forced herself to calm down. As she calmed down, she found that the tentacles around her body weren't only absorbing her origin energy, they were also absorbing her life force. Close your eyes. Yao Bingyun pondered for a bit. She calmed herself down and closed her eyes. Close your ears. Her body trembled slightly, and her hearing was instantly sealed off, isolating her from everything else. Hold your breath. At this moment, Yao Bingyun's entire body was completely relaxed, and the breath from her mouth and nose disappeared. Close your mind. The origin soul in her body instantly stopped moving. Even though it was separated from origin energy, it sat cross-legged and sealed itself, sinking into a mysterious realm. Close your mind. This was the will of life. As long as there was life, there would always be a will of life. At this moment, Yao Bingyun had decisively sealed away her own will of life. In an instant, all the life in her body seemed to have disappeared. There was no longer any life in her, she was like a corpse. The closed mind god spell. This Yao Bingyun had cultivated it to a very high level. Talent didn't play much of a role in cultivating the closed mind god spell, but it was very strict on one's Tao heart. If one's Tao heart wasn't strong enough, they wouldn't be able to immerse themselves in the closed mind god spell. Cracking sounds came from Yao Bingyun's body after she sealed herself completely. A thin layer of ice appeared on her body, and as it spread, it immediately connected to form a layer. This ice also sealed the tentacles that were wrapped around Yao Bingyun. A moment later, the cold energy coming from her body became even stronger, and the number of ice crystals increased. In the end, cracking sounds echoed, and a layer of ice 3 feet thick appeared inside Yao Bingyun's body. She was half naked and half sealed in the ice. Her expression was calm, and anyone who looked at her wouldn't be able to help but feel their heart skip a beat. Time slowly passed. There was no sense of day and night inside Wang Yu's body. It was as if there was no longer any time. Among the stars, the moongazer serpent's giant body slowly moved through the northern domain. On this day, Wang Yu stopped. She was in the depths of the Luo Tian northern domain. The surrounding space was very thin, and there were no cultivation planet. After Wang Yu stopped, her body slowly curled up until her head and tail connected to each other. She turned into a cultivation planet once more. The countless tentacles around her body began to shrink. Large amounts of black fog came out and surrounded the cultivation planet. The tentacles gradually became shorter and shorter. In the end, they were less than 1,000 feet long and began to sway around the cultivation planet. The surroundings became calm once more. In the strange, narrow space inside Wang Yu's body, Wang Lin opened his eyes. His eyes shined brightly. Injuries to one's origin soul were not easy to recover from. After cultivating, he had only recovered 80%. Wang Lin's eyes were like lightning as he looked at the walls of the furnace. The ancient god aura coming from the furnace was very strong. Although the Moongazer serpent was constantly absorbing it, the aura was still unimaginably strong. Wang Yu didn't kill me but threw me here. It is obvious that aside from being a place where Wang Yu absorbs vitality, it is also a place where she absorbs ancient god aura. Wang Lin began to ponder. It was obvious that this giant Moongazer serpent would throw anything or anyone with the aura of an ancient god here. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he muttered, "That means there must be other things related to the ancient gods here." Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light as he raised his hand and pressed it against the walls of the furnace. With a thought, his divine sense entered the furnace. Since the greedy wolf can use this furnace, then I can as well. Wang Lin's divine sense swept out and entered the furnace. In an instant, he felt a powerful suction force pulling at his divine sense. Wang Lin was already prepared for this suction force. This was obviously the suction force coming from the large amount of tentacles. His mind was firm and his divine sense was like a lonely boat in the raging waves as he resisted the suction force and struggled toward the furnace. Gradually, under the pressure of the suction force, Wang Lin's divine sense spread throughout the furnace. He left his own divine sense mark, but he didn't feel like he could control it. Wang Lin frowned slightly, but he didn't give up. His divine sense continued to spread throughout the furnace, leaving a mark inch by inch. This process was extremely slow. At the same time, he had to resist the suction force. With Wang Lin's cultivation level, it was very difficult. Time slowly passed and Wang Lin didn't stop. As he continued to leave a mark, he gradually found a trace. In the corner of the furnace, there was a rune that had been carved by someone. This rune was very complicated, and although it was carved on the furnace, it wasn't very deep. From the outside, it was impossible to see it with the naked eye. Even with divine sense, if it wasn't for Wang Lin's current method, he wouldn't be able to find it. There was also a trace of divine sense imprint on this rune. When Wang Lin's divine sense touched this imprint, the coldness in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger. He could clearly feel the aura of the greedy wolf on this imprint. The greedy wolf isn't dead. Wang Lin's eyes flickered with coldness. After a long time, he gradually calmed down. The greedy wolf isn't dead, so his imprint is still here. That's why I can't control this furnace, but if his divine sense imprint is still here, why can I leave a mark on this furnace? As Wang Lin thought about it, he suddenly thought of the imprint on the greedy wolf's divine sense. This furnace was thrown away by the ancient god 2C. In the ancient god's memories, there is only the appearance of this furnace, but no way to use it. After all, the inheritance of memories I received is not complete. Wang Lin's divine sense filled the furnace as he carefully examined the imprint. After a long time, his eyes began to shine brightly. Although he and the greedy wolf were enemies at this moment, he felt a bit of admiration for the greedy wolf. This greed is a genius. Clearly, he didn't know how to use the cauldron after obtaining it, nor was he able to control it. Therefore, he took a shortcut. I don't know where he found this magical symbol, but he imprinted it onto the cauldron. That's how he connected some of the divine abilities within it. The truth is that the greedy wolf is controlling this furnace, but with this imprint, he can use some of the divine abilities of the furnace. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Without hesitation, he sent his divine sense into the imprint on the furnace. Erase the greedy wolf's divine sense imprint, and this furnace will return to its rightful owner. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with excitement. Just as his divine sense was about to erase the greedy wolf imprint, Wang Lin's expression suddenly changed. His divine sense suddenly stopped and rapidly shrank back into his body through the furnace. Chapter 838. Without any hesitation, Wang Lin formed a seal with his hands and pressed them on his chest. After tapping a few times, his aura was completely hidden. He only left behind a sliver of his divine sense to observe the outside world. A gust of chilly air frantically filled the long and narrow space. The source of this chilly air was a skinny man who was entangled by tentacles not far away. This person was an old man. His body originally did not have any signs of life. However, as the chilling aura spread out from his body and filled the air, an enormous amount of life violently surged out from his body. This life force was too dense, causing the old man's skinny body to rapidly swell as if it was being blown by the wind. However, the strange thing was that the old man's eyes were still closed and showed no signs of waking up. When Wang Lin's divine sense saw this, his heart trembled. With his cultivation and his previous life and death domain, he could clearly feel that aside from the large amount of life force, there was also a hidden aura of death. However, this aura of death was completely suppressed by the life force. As the life force became denser, the old man's body grew larger and larger. Popping sounds echoed in the air, as all the bones in his body shattered, as if they couldn't withstand the power of the expansion. As a result, the old man's body became even larger without the bones connecting it to his body. At this moment, a chilling aura was frantically emitted from his body, causing everything in the surroundings to be enveloped in a chilling aura. Even the tentacles were slowly shrinking. Just as the old man's body grew to a certain extent, almost turning into a ball of flesh, a thin and long bulge immediately appeared on his skin. That bulge did not remain still, but was rapidly moving about, drilling in and out of the old man's skin. A sharp cry came from the old man's body. This sound was extremely familiar to Wang Lin. The moment he heard it, Wang Lin's expression became extremely ugly. Just at this moment, the old man's body suddenly trembled. With a bang, a crack appeared on his body. An extremely ferocious chilling aura rapidly rushed out from the crack on the old man's body. Soon after, a sharp whistle reverberated, as if it was filled with excitement. The countless tentacles also began to sway as if they were welcoming the birth of their own kind. In an instant, a slender object that was 20 feet long squeezed out from the crack in the old man's body. As it twisted its body, the old man's body completely collapsed. There was no flesh or blood left, and the moment the old man's body collapsed, a storm of cold aura sprayed out from his body. Inside the Moongazer serpent, that 20-foot-long thing charged out. This thing caused Wang Lin's heart to tremble. It was a small Moongazer serpent. This Wang Yu was clearly a new creature. After it appeared, its hair was still transparent. After it appeared, it immediately turned around and inhaled the old man's collapsed body. Immediately, the old man's body seemed to melt as it was devoured by the small Wang Yu. Shortly after, the Wang Yu's body twisted and devoured the surrounding cold aura. In almost an instant, its body grew from 20 feet to 100 feet. The tentacles around its body gradually turned dark red, making it look even more ferocious. As its body twisted, it turned into a bolt of lightning and charged toward the exit of the vortex. It passed through without any obstruction and disappeared. After the Wang Yu left, the surrounding tentacles gradually returned to their original state. The cold aura slowly disappeared as they absorbed it. Everything returned to normal. Only one person was missing. As for the tentacles that had wrapped around the old man, they slowly retracted and disappeared into the void. Wang Lin opened his eyes and gasped. No wonder there are so many Wang Yus here. According to Tu Si's memories, once this Wang Yu leaves its ancient god body, it will die without a doubt. But now, not only is the Moongazer serpent not dead, it is even using the bodies of cultivators and mortals to form a new life. It's almost like a cycle. This Moongazer serpent must have undergone a shocking change in the past countless years. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like this. It could be said that Wang Lin understood Wang Yu very well. After seeing this scene, he could guess most of what had happened. He pondered for a bit. After the outside world became silent, his divine sense spread out toward the symbol on the cauldron and instantly surrounded it. As Wang Lin's eyes became cold, his divine sense collided with the greedy wolf's divine sense. Even though the greedy wolf's cultivation was at its peak, it was only on par with Wang Lin's. Adding on the fact that it was seriously injured, the symbol on the cauldron was extremely dim. After being hit by Wang Lin's divine sense, it didn't take long for it to collapse. When the greedy wolf's divine sense was erased, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to imprint his own divine sense on the symbol. The greedy wolf had gone through a life and death crisis to obtain this cauldron. He knew that this cauldron was a treasure, but he couldn't control it. In the end, he spent a lot of effort and finally found a simple way to control it. After thousands of years, he finally obtained the symbol. Only by carefully engraving the symbol on the cauldron was he able to control it. However, at this moment, he had benefited Wang Lin for no reason. The moment his divine sense landed on the symbol, a strange feeling filled Wang Lin's heart. This feeling was very familiar to him, and it formed a connection with the ancient god leather armor around his origin soul. However, this feeling was like a flower in the mist. It was very blurry, as if there was a barrier in the middle that prevented it from completely surrounding his heart. Wang Lin knew that this was because the method he used to control the cauldron wasn't correct. He had used the greedy wolf's method to take a shortcut. As a result, although he could easily control it, he wouldn't be able to display the full power of the cauldron. However, Wang Lin wasn't in a rush. His eyes lit up and he muttered, "As long as I return to the Alliance star system, this cauldron will be able to display its full power under my control." His hands formed a seal and Wang Lin moved his divine sense according to the blurry feeling in his heart. The cauldron immediately trembled and a ripple spread out. White gas came out of the cauldron. This white gas was very dense and surrounded Wang Lin's body. At this moment, Wang Lin felt like he had become one with the cauldron. This feeling was very strange. It was as if he was the cauldron. With a thought, Wang Lin softly said, "Shift." The moment he said these two words, the cauldron trembled and suddenly disappeared. When it reappeared, it was outside of the tentacles. What was strange was that the tentacles didn't move at all and maintained their original positions. It was as if the cauldron was still among them. Wang Lin's body floated out from the cauldron. White gas surrounded his body, making him look like a celestial. Wang Lin's gaze lit up and fell on Yao Bingyun. When his divine sense spread out, he noticed Yao Bingyun, but he was focused on the divine sense imprint and didn't pay too much attention. Now that he had taken the cauldron as his, he had the time to observe this woman. Through the layer of ice, Yao Bingyun's half-naked body gave off a strange sense of beauty. Yao Bingyun's appearance was already very good, and now that her eyes were closed, there was no longer any coldness on her face. Instead, she looked delicate and weak. But all of this fell into Wang Lin's eyes. He didn't show any expression, and his eyes were still as calm as water. This woman's cultivation method is indeed strange. Even when her origin energy is separated, she can still protect herself. She can seal everything in her body so that Wang Yu can't absorb it. However, she underestimated Wang Yu too much. Although this cultivation method is strange, I'm sure that it won't be long before the ice breaks. Wang Lin's eyes were cold. After pondering for a moment, he raised his right hand and pointed at the layer of ice. During the time you chased Wang, you almost took my life twice. If I don't take revenge, then I'm not Wang's Tao of Karma. Wang Lin sneered and pressed his right index finger on the layer of ice. Immediately, a large amount of origin energy flowed out from his finger and entered the layer of ice. With a cracking sound, large cracks appeared on the layer of ice with Wang Lin's finger as the center. These cracks spread out and stopped an inch away from Yao Bingyun, unable to move forward. Wang Lin stared at Yao Bingyun, who was inside the layer of ice, and his eyes flashed coldly. The origin energy in his body moved again, flowed into his finger, and pressed down on the layer of ice again. As the cracking sound echoed, Wang Lin didn't stop. His body moved and he pressed down on the layer of ice around Yao Bingyun. Gradually, large pieces of ice fell off. In the end, there was only an inch of ice around Yao Bingyun. This woman must be one of the best among the third-generation disciples of the Yao family. Since the Yao family wants to kill me, then I'll refine this woman into a celestial guard. Even if I fail, it doesn't matter. Wang Lin's heart was extremely decisive. As long as it was an enemy, it didn't matter if it was a man or woman. Even if it was a peerless woman, he wouldn't feel the slightest bit of pity. Moreover, although this woman was beautiful, she couldn't compare to Lu Mei from the past. All of this is karma. If you didn't chase after Wang, you wouldn't be where you are today. Wang Lin opened his mouth and spat out essence energy, which directly surrounded the layer of ice around Yao Bingyun. As the ice melted, his right hand continuously pointed at it. Gradually, the cracking sound echoed again. The inch of ice around Yao Bingyun's body began to crack. In reality, if her origin energy had recovered, she wouldn't have been so easily destroyed by Wang Lin when she executed the secluded immortal technique. However, her separation of origin energy gave Wang Lin a chance. Yao Bingyun would never have imagined that apart from her, Wang Lin was also here. What was even more unexpected was that Wang Lin's origin energy wasn't sealed due to the ancient god leather armor, so he could move freely here. Just as the layer of ice around Yao Bingyun's body cracked, she slowly opened her eyes and looked at Wang Lin. Chapter 839. The moment Yao Bingyun opened her eyes, Wang Lin's eyes became cold and he sneered. He spread open the 5 fingers on his right hand and the origin energy in his body surged out. In an instant, it gathered in his 5 fingers and turned into 5 rays of light that landed on the layer of ice around Yao Bingyun's body. At the same time, Wang Lin didn't stop at all and quickly retreated. The moment the white fog under his feet surrounded his body, he raised his right hand and used the heavenly chop to ruthlessly chop down. This chop wasn't aimed at Yao Bingyun, but at the tentacles around her body. All of this happened in the blink of an eye, and it was unbelievably fast. The 5 rays of origin energy landed on the layer of ice around Yao Bingyun's body and immediately produced muffled bangs. They were like 5 poisonous dragons that pierced through the ice and charged at Yao Bingyun's body. What is your Tao? Yao Bingyun couldn't dodge. She didn't even look at the 5 poisonous dragons that charged into her body. Her face was pale, but there was a hint of determination. This was enough to prove her Tao heart. At this moment of crisis, she gave up everything and used her Tao heart to launch a battle of domains against Wang Lin. However, Wang Lin had already guessed her actions the moment she opened her eyes. To be more accurate, Wang Lin and Yao Bingyun were the same type of person. Even if he died, he would fight. Even if he died, he would drag her into the cycle of reincarnation with him. The moment Yao Bingyun opened her mouth, her eyes immediately became blank. An illusory figure appeared before her. This figure was a woman. More accurately speaking, it was a girl around 14 or 15 years old. The girl's hair was combed into a bun, and she looked weak and helpless. She opened her mouth as if she wanted to speak, but in the end no sound came out. It was as if she was mute. The moment the girl appeared, a sad Tao heart domain spread out toward Wang Lin. However, at this moment, the heavenly chop that Wang Lin's right hand had swung down landed on the tentacles around Yao Bingyun's body. Wang Lin's control of the heavenly chop was extremely precise. It wouldn't hurt the tentacles, but it could stimulate them. The moment the heavenly chop landed, the tentacles suddenly shrank. As the tentacles shrank, the complexion of Yao Bingyun, who was bound by them, immediately paled. A mouthful of blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth, and the sound of her bones cracking could be heard. As it shrank, the tentacles began to move even more violently. The stimulation from the heavenly chop caused the tentacles to go crazy. As a result, Yao Bingyun's eyes dimmed. After losing her origin energy, she was like a mortal. As the tentacles moved like crazy, she revealed a bitter smile, and despair appeared in her eyes. The pain in her body couldn't make her Tao heart unstable, but the suction force from the tentacle became even crazier after being stimulated. Not only was it absorbing origin energy and vitality, but it was also devouring Yao Bingyun's Tao. The girl's figure that appeared before Yao Bingyun immediately became illusory before completely disappearing. Little sister. Yao Bingyun looked at the disappearing girl's figure and closed her eyes. Her life force, Tao, and origin energy were all sucked away by the tentacles. The moment Wang Lin broke the ice, he had already calculated everything. If Yao Bingyun hadn't awakened, then it wouldn't have mattered. However, if she did awaken and the tentacles wrapped around her, then Wang Lin wouldn't be afraid. What he was fighting for was speed and the opportunity to act first. At this moment, Yao Bingyun's domain spread out and then dissipated. However, the sadness within the domain caused Wang Lin to tremble. His eyes lit up, and before Yao Bingyun could feel despair, he reached out with his right hand. His 2 fingers formed a sword and quickly pointed at Yao Bingyun's body. Popping sounds immediately echoed. The layer of ice around Yao Bingyun's body completely shattered and fell off, revealing her delicate body. Wang Lin's right hand didn't stop. His hand formed a seal that turned into many restrictions that landed on Yao Bingyun's body. They followed her body and landed on her origin soul. As he continued to seal Yao Bingyun, Wang Lin's left hand pointed up and the soul lasher appeared. The soul lasher entered Yao Bingyun's body and trapped her origin soul. Wang Lin was still not at ease. He slapped his bag of holding and the 1 billion soul flag appeared in his hand. He waved it and the 100-foot-long flag wrapped around Yao Bingyun. Finally, Wang Lin opened his mouth and spat out the immortal sealing seal. As soon as it appeared, Wang Lin performed a double-handed incantation gesture and shouted, "Seal!" Hundreds of thousands of golden runes flickered on the immortal sealing stamp as they rushed out. They were like a golden river that completely covered Yao Bingyun's body. Each rune represented a seal. As the hundreds of thousands of magical symbols sealed the seal, Wang Lin's heart was at ease. He backed up until he was atop the huge cauldron. His right hand flashed with an incantation gesture, and he pointed at the sealed Yao Bingyun. Form shift. The huge cauldron trembled. It was as if the power of heaven and earth had split open Wang Yu's body. As the power spread out, Yao Bingyun's body suddenly vanished. When she reappeared, Wang Lin's hand reached out and grabbed Yao Bingyun. Like a magical item, he put her into his bag of holding. Inside Wang Yu's body is not the best place to refine the celestial guard. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. His body flickered as he returned to the top of the huge cauldron. Under his control, the cauldron trembled and slowly floated forward. Along the way, the white mist that surrounded the cauldron seemed to be able to isolate it from the surrounding tentacles. The greedy wolf had used this method to avoid Wang Yu and the tentacles. He had escaped several times, but in the end, thanks to the divine abilities of Wang Yu's true form, he had never been able to escape. However, from this, it could be seen that the white mist of the cauldron was able to conceal itself within Wang Yu's body. Wang Lin was extremely cautious. As he flew, his eyes flickered as he looked around. As Wang Lin moved forward, he caught sight of all the people wrapped up by the tentacles. The further he went down the narrow path, the more tentacles he encountered. The cultivators and mortals who were wrapped up by the tentacles looked even more ferocious. Their faces seemed to indicate that they had suffered incredible pain before they died. Wang Lin stood there silently. As he moved forward, besides these mortals and cultivators, Wang Lin didn't see any treasures that contained the aura of an ancient god. He didn't become impatient, he remained silent as he slowly moved forward. Gradually, more tentacles appeared. It was as if the path ahead had been sealed, making it a bit narrow for Wang Lin to move forward. However, with the help of the cauldron, Wang Lin's body moved like he was teleporting. After an unknown amount of time, as Wang Lin moved forward, the mortals and cultivators wrapped up by the tentacles began to change. They were no longer as skinny as bones without any vitality. Instead, there were a few that had a faint trace of vitality. However, this vitality was too weak, like a candle in the wind that could be extinguished at any moment. Wang Lin's expression changed slightly as he continued forward. Gradually, more and more people wrapped up by the tentacles had vitality in their bodies. As he moved forward, the vitality in their bodies became stronger. Wang Lin's body suddenly stopped. He stared at the endless space before him and thought, "It looks like this moongazer serpent absorbs life from the outside. The closer we get to the center, the more life force there is. I just don't know if I'll find a sober person." Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he sped up and charged forward. More and more people had vitality, but Wang Lin didn't stop. As he got closer to the depths, a call suddenly appeared in his heart. This call seemed to come from his soul. The moment Wang Lin charged out, his heart trembled. Come or come, this feeling set off a storm in his heart. The intensity of this feeling was countless times stronger than when he saw the cauldron. This voice contained a penetrating force. It broke through Wang Lin's body, broke through his origin soul, and directly echoed in his soul. This call didn't just affect Wang Lin, it also affected his original body on a cultivation planet in the Alliance star system. His original body was hiding on a cultivation planet, but at this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes shined like the sun. Wang Lin sucked in a breath of cold air and his eyes shined brightly. Come, come. The call from his soul continued to echo. This caused not only Wang Lin's origin soul, but even his body to tremble. This voice contained boundless power, causing him to feel a strong urge to proceed forward, to see what was going on. While pondering, Wang Lin closed his eyes, but in an instant, he suddenly opened them. His eyes were filled with decisiveness, and he charged out without any hesitation toward the source of this soul-shaking call. At this moment, when the moongazer serpent's giant body shrank back into a cultivation planet, it went back to sleep. The surrounding space was completely silent without any sound, as if everything had stopped. However, on this day, a ray of light suddenly appeared in the distant starry sky, bringing with it an aura that caused one's heart to tremble violently as it whistled over. It was a middle-aged man. He was the black-robed man that had battled Wang Yu. At this moment, his original body had arrived. Behind him was a 1,000-foot-tall black eagle. This eagle's eyes were like lightning and looked very gloomy. The moment this person appeared, a bolt of thunder rumbled in the distance. It was Master Flamespark. He stepped on a bolt of thunder and closed in with one step. Just as Master Flamespark appeared, there was a flash of red light in the distance and an octagonal formation suddenly appeared. The formation gave off a powerful aura that could be clearly felt even from far away. As the octagonal formation shined, an aura that could make the world tremble spread out like crazy. The formation shined brightly and 4 people walked out, requesting monthly votes. Chapter 840. The 4 of them were all wearing red. They were 4 boys. Their expressions were cold and they didn't seem to have any emotions. They were like puppets. The moment they appeared, they split into 4 directions and surrounded the planet Wang Yu was on. The four boys sat down cross-legged. Immediately, 4 red blood pills floated out of their heads. A blood-colored bolt of lightning instantly connected the 4 blood pills and surrounded the Moongazer serpent. Inside the formation, the red-robed old man named Xiang stepped out. His expression was calm, but there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. His body released a powerful killing intent as he stared at the Moongazer serpent. Master Flamespark's eyes lit up as he looked at the 4 boys and smiled. Fellow cultivator Xiang actually brought the Xiang family's 4 god-sealing disciples. I wonder which fellow cultivator Gongsun invited to participate? Master Flamespark's eyes lit up as he looked at the 4 boys and smiled. The black-robed middle-aged man named Gongsun calmly said, "The Shengong family ancestor and the Zhan family's Li Yunzi." The red-robed old man named Xiang appeared next to Master Flamespark and smiled. The old man didn't invite too many people. He only invited Blood God and 5-colored Daoists. I presume those 2 will arrive soon. After hearing the name, Blood God, Master Flamespark let out a cold snort and said, "The old man only invited 1 person. As for who it is, the old man will keep you in suspense. You will find out soon." Just as he spoke, a ray of silver light closed in from the distance. There was a person standing on the silver light. This person looked middle-aged and looked somewhat similar to Shengong Hu. As the silver light flashed, this person arrived before everyone. Shengong. After this person closed in, he clasped his hands and no longer spoke. He looked at Wang Yu without revealing any thoughts. No one knew what he was thinking. Waves of silver light formed an arc around this person's body. It looked extremely shocking. At that moment, loud rumbles came from the galaxy. In the distance, a huge ship was moving at an extremely fast speed. There were countless young women in colorful clothes dancing on the ship. As a long string of laughter echoed in space, a white-haired old man in a colorful robe leaped up from the ship with 1 step and arrived beside the crowd. "Sorry for the long wait, fellow Taoists. I encountered a few top-notch furnaces on the way, so I was delayed a little." 5-colored Taoist's face was red and extremely smooth, like the skin of a baby. As he arrived, a ghostly aura spread out. The Xiang family elder laughed and said, "A cultivation furnace that caught the attention of the 5 colors Taoist is definitely not ordinary. If Brother Xiang likes it, the old man will send you a person after we subdue the Luna beast." The 5-colored Taoist smiled. His gaze swept across the people around him, and he was secretly shocked. These people were all famous old monsters. Now that they were gathered here, it was clear that they were determined to obtain the moon beast. As the 2 talked, the Shengong family ancestor didn't participate. He silently stared at Wang Yu. As for the black-robed man, he was even more taciturn. Master Flamespark's expression was calm. Although the 5-colored Taoist's cultivation level was high, he didn't consider him a threat. At this moment, a person walked over from the distance. This person was dressed in white and appeared to be a young man. However, there was an ancient aura around him, causing him to give off a strange feeling. He didn't have any treasures under his feet and walked over step by step. His expression was extremely calm as he looked at everyone. He clasped his hands but didn't speak. "Li Yunzi." Master Flamespark's eyes narrowed. The man in white nodded slightly. He stood on the side and still didn't say a word. Rumor has it that the Zhan family's Li Yunzi has a fiery temper. In a fit of anger, he destroyed the San family and became famous. His fiery temper is something everyone remembers. Master Flamespark withdrew his gaze. His expression suddenly changed and he looked into the distance. In the distance, a large amount of red light suddenly appeared, and a thick smell of blood filled the starry sky. The large amount of red light surged over and immediately condensed into a person 100 feet away from them. This person was an old man with red hair and red eyebrows. His blood-red robe looked as if it had just been dyed red, and his expression was extremely gloomy. After he appeared, he didn't look at everyone but at the cultivation planet Wang Yu had turned into. His eyes revealed a mysterious light. Blood God! The moment this person appeared, all the surrounding old monsters' eyes narrowed and fell on him. Even Li Kongzi and the Shengong family ancestor were no exception. Blood God withdrew his gaze from Wang Yu and looked at everyone else. Finally, he looked at Master Flamespark and calmly said, "Master Flamespark, my grandson's origin soul was taken by you. Once the alliance opens, we must battle." There was a flash of coldness in Master Flamespark's eyes and he smiled. "I'll accompany you." At this moment, bolts of thunder moved through the northern domain of the Luo Tian continent. Almost all the messengers of the Thunder Celestial Temple had moved out. All of the messengers of the Thunder Celestial Temple stood on thunder and sat down 50,000 kilometers away from the cultivation planet Wang Yu had turned into. They formed a circle around her. These messengers of the Thunder Celestial Temple all formed a seal with their hands and used a secret method to connect them. Dense thunder filled the area within 100,000 kilometers of the Moongazer Serpent, forming a thunder domain. Tens of thousands of kilometers away from these messengers of the Thunder Celestial Temple, cultivators in red and black spread out to form 2 more seals to ensure that nothing could go wrong. At this moment, Wang Lin naturally didn't know any of this. The call from his soul became even more clear, and the tremor almost caused the blood in his body to boil. Standing on top of the furnace, Wang Lin's speed was very fast as he charged toward the end of the narrow passage. The calling in his soul became stronger and stronger until it was almost endless. "Come! Come!" Wang Lin's speed became faster and faster. After half an incense stick of time, the call from his soul echoed across his body like thunder. At this moment, he saw where the call from before him was coming from. This gaze caused Wang Lin's body to tremble violently and his pupils to shrink. In front of it, over 100 tentacles intertwined at the same time. What was being entangled was a baby. This baby's body was extremely large, it was hundreds of feet tall. At this moment, his eyes were closed and his body was curled up. Rich vitality was constantly being absorbed into Wang Yu. 8 illusory stars loomed above the baby's head, but none of them were solid. As they rotated, they formed a strange force that was constantly being absorbed by the tentacles. Wang Lin sucked in a breath of cold air. His mind was shaken to a point he had never felt before. Ancient God-child. Wang Lin stared dumbfoundedly at everything before him. With the memories he inherited from 2C, he knew that there were only 2 explanations for why the stars between the baby's eyebrows were illusory. One was that the father of this child was an 8-star ancient god and had left his 8-star ancient god power in the child's body. The second explanation was terrifying. This explanation caused a chill to rise in Wang Lin's heart. The second explanation was that the baby in front of him wasn't the child of an ancient god, but an adult 8-star ancient god. However, because he was seriously injured, or because he had experienced some unimaginable changes, his ancient god power had regressed. This caused his ancient god power to slowly revert from an adult to a child. If it really is the second explanation, then where did the ancient god power go? Wang Lin's expression was gloomy as he looked around, especially at the hundreds of tentacles. A shocking thought appeared in his mind. Could it be that Wang Yu's drastic change has something to do with this? This Wang Yu devoured an ancient god and obtained this divine ability. Wang Lin slowly retreated. However, he didn't know why, but a strong sense of sorrow emerged from the bottom of his heart. This sorrow came from the main body in his soul. This sorrow was very strong, and it spread throughout Wang Lin's body, causing his entire body to be shrouded in sorrow. "My clansmen!" A weak voice suddenly echoed in Wang Lin's origin soul. This voice was the language of the ancient god. It was so ancient that it could make a mortal age in an instant. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as he looked at the countless tentacles wrapped around the child ancient god. I don't have much time. Your soul has the aura of my clan, but it isn't strong. Let the Real clansmen come here and accept my final inheritance. Wang Lin's body trembled as he whispered, You are the child ancient god, and an adult ancient god that regressed. I am. Just as the ancient god's voice reverberated, the hundreds of tentacles on his body seemed to have gone crazy and began to frantically absorb the energy. More and more bumps appeared on the tentacles and were rapidly absorbed by the moongazer serpent. It wasn't just the ancient god, all of the surrounding tentacles were trembling violently. At this moment, some of the weaker people began to self-destruct. It was obvious that all their life force had been absorbed and they had died. This sudden change caused Wang Lin's expression to become gloomy. He didn't hesitate to return to the furnace and form a seal with his hands. The furnace was covered in white fog. This drastic change wasn't just happening in the small area where Wang Lin was, but all the tentacles in the entire narrow passage. It was as if it did not care about anything else, rapidly absorbing all the life force, as if it wanted to absorb all the food it had stored for countless years in an instant. Popping sounds echoed as the corpses collapsed one by one. The last of their life force was absorbed by Wang Yu's tentacles. At the same time, this place began to shake violently, as if something unimaginable had happened outside. As the shaking intensified, muffled roars echoed throughout the moongazer serpent's body. The small moongazer serpents outside the vortex flew up one by one. They revealed ferocious expressions and charged out. At this moment, almost every part of Wang Yu's body was filled with miniature Wang Yu's roars. There were too many of these small moongazer serpents. Under the lead of 8 large moongazer serpents, they crazily swam away. Outside the cultivation planet Wang Yu had transformed into, a battle that was rarely seen even in the 4 lower star systems of the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning celestial realms began. At the last moment I beg for monthly votes. Chapter 841. The 7 people who stood at the peak of the overarching star system had begun a war with Wang Yu. Wang Yu's body had already woken up from its previous sleeping state. It let out a violent roar and went into battle mode. Its 100,000 feet long tentacles swayed, and for the first time, Wang Yu's eyes revealed a hint of caution. Although its mind was different from a human's, it could still sense a strong sense of danger. This sense of danger was something it hadn't felt in a very long time. It vaguely remembered that a long time ago, when it was floating, there seemed to be a voice warning it not to step into a certain area. It seemed that there was an unimaginable power in that voice that made it feel fear. However, this memory was too long ago, so it was a bit blurry. However, that sense of danger from back then was still etched in its mind. Even now, it was still affecting its thinking. Right now, it also felt a sense of danger. Although it was much weaker than before, it was still enough to make it cautious. The countless 100,000 feet long tentacles swayed, and the roar that came from Wang Yu's mouth was like the ancient sound of the earth being split open. It surpassed all thunder and could shatter space itself. This kind of sound had never appeared even when the moongazer serpent was angry twice before. Facing these extremely weak life forms, it did not need to do this at all. It could directly slaughter them. However, right now, when Wang Yu was angry, the sense of danger made it so that it had to do this. It had to use its true strength. This voice seemed to contain a complex human language, and it turned into a spell that could cause space to collapse as it spread out from its body. At this moment, the red-robed old man named Xiang's right hand was the size of a finger. His entire body had merged with the octagonal formation. This formation floated above the moongazer serpent and moved with the moongazer serpent. Large bolts of lightning and fire came from the formation and landed on the moongazer serpent's body. At the same time, the 4 boys used their great spirit red cores to form red lightning that restricted the moongazer serpent's movements. The black-robed middle-aged man with the Gongsun family name turned into a giant eagle that was 1,000 feet tall. As he roared, his giant body was like a real eagle. His sharp claws circled around the moongazer serpent and continued to attack. With this kind of power, even a real cultivation planet would easily collapse under this black-robed man's attack. His cultivation was so strong that he could be ranked among the strongest cultivators in the all-heaven star system. The Shengong family ancestor closed in on Wang Yu with one step. He opened his arms and bolts of lightning moved through his body like crazy. The arcs of lightning spread out and turned into thunder dragons. Although they didn't look like ancient thunder dragons, they were formed by thunder spirits. As these thunder dragons roared, there were no less than 10,000 of them. With the Shengong family ancestor as the source, they charged out and began a violent attack on Wang Yu. The Zhan family's Li Yunzi was like a ghost in his white robe. He was too fast, and the silver sword in his hand would often pierce into the moongazer serpent's body. Once it hit, the silver sword would shine brightly enough to make a cultivator's eyes explode. As the silver light shined brightly, the silver sword in Li Yunzi's hand extended infinitely and pierced through the moongazer serpent's body from the other side. This was the spell Li Yunzi had used to shake the overarching star system. Celestial Heart Spell. As long as the heart was there would be no obstacles. The five-colored Taoist body turned into 5 rays of light. These 5 rays of light seemed to contain a powerful spell, and as they rotated, they formed a giant vortex. This vortex covered the earth and extended infinitely. The shadows of 99 girls appeared inside the vortex. Each of the girls had a solemn expression as they sat inside the vortex. An extremely feminine force rushed out from the bodies of the 99 girls and condensed into a ferocious, 1,000-foot-tall ghost. It charged at Wang Yu with its huge body. Blood God's expression was cold as his body flickered and turned into a large amount of blood light. This blood light was so dense that it almost turned into a blood mist. As it surrounded the moongazer serpent, the blood mist surged and entered the moongazer serpent's body through its tentacles. It began a violent destruction inside the moongazer serpent. Continuous rumbling sounds echoed from the moongazer serpent's body. Master Flamespark's hands formed a seal and countless fragments appeared before him. Each fragment was formed by the celestial realm. The moment they appeared, they rotated under his control and surrounded the moongazer serpent. At this moment, a powerful celestial realm energy surged out like a storm and shrouded the star system. For this operation, the entire northern domain of the overarching star system had been cleared by the Thunder Celestial Temple over the past few months. All of this was to capture Wang Yu in one fell swoop. The moongazer serpent's roar became more and more intense. Its giant body continued to ram into the ground, and the intense pain almost made it go crazy. It had been a very, very long time since it had experienced this kind of pain. In its memory, aside from that voice, no other creature could make it feel this much pain. As it roared, it opened its mouth and small Wang Yus flew out. Among these small Wang Yus, 8 of them were 100,000 feet long, and the rest were 10,000 feet long and 1,000 feet long. As they charged out, the mother of Wang Yu let out a violent roar and a vague ancient god language came from Wang Yu's mouth. It wasn't just the mother of Wang Yu that spoke the ancient god language, but all of the Wang Yus, no matter how big or small, all spoke the ancient god language. The anger of Wang Yu was like the ancient god finger. As the complex language of the ancient gods echoed, countless specks of light appeared in front of each moongazer serpent. These specks of light appeared from the void and condensed like crazy. In a flash, the ancient god finger filled the starry sky. The countless Wang Yus formed countless ancient god fingers. This was one of the most powerful spells of the Wang Yu. The ancient god's finger swept across the earth with the moongazer serpent as the center. This powerful force caused the expressions of the 6 of them to change. This wasn't the end of the moongazer serpent's spell. After releasing the ancient god finger, its giant body trembled violently and it let out a series of roars. Its giant body shrank like crazy, as if it wanted to absorb all the vitality in its body. As popping sounds echoed, the countless tentacles on the moongazer serpent's body broke from the roots. A large amount of tentacles fell off its body and twisted. Then a large amount of hair came out from the tentacles. In the blink of an eye, the hair formed thousands of Wang Yus. Aside from Blood God, who had entered Wang Yu's body and couldn't see this, the other 6 were shocked. Even Master Flamespark's pupils shrank and were filled with terror. What kind of moon beast is this? There are no records of a moon beast having such a spell. When the moongazer serpent used this terrifying spell, all the mortals and cultivators around Wang Lin had their life force sucked away and collapsed. After the countless tentacles finished absorbing the energy, they quickly disappeared. Almost in an instant, the number of tentacles in the area decreased by a large amount. In particular, the hundreds of tentacles wrapped around Wang Lin were absorbing at a terrifying rate. This was no longer absorbing, but devouring. Large amounts of bulges appeared on each tentacle and devoured the power of the ancient god like crazy. At the same time, the tentacles wriggled and split into countless hairs. In the blink of an eye, these hairs rapidly extended and entered the child ancient god's body to devour it. This child ancient god is Wang Yu's source of life. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. His right hand formed a seal, and he was about to attack. However, just at this moment, the ancient voice that had disappeared echoed within Wang Lin's origin soul once more. This voice was even weaker than before, as if it could dissipate at any moment. Don't attack, I have become one with the moongazer serpent. If you attack, you will immediately be attacked by the moongazer serpent. My clan members, quickly leave and bring the person who can receive my inheritance. I don't have much time left. The ancient voice became weaker and weaker until it was almost inaudible under the devouring of the countless tentacles. With your strength, you can't leave this place. I'll send you on your way. The child ancient god that was wrapped by countless tentacles suddenly opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, one of the 8 stars rotating between his eyebrows suddenly collapsed. An ancient god's broken star. This collapse turned into an unimaginable shockwave. It passed by Wang Lin like a storm and charged at the vortex at the entrance of the narrow passage. The moment the storm rushed into the vortex, a large amount of red light appeared. Blood God's figure instantly condensed. After entering the moongazer serpent, he continued to destroy the moongazer serpent until he found this place. However, just as he condensed, the storm formed by the ancient god power smashed into him. Even with Blood God's cultivation, he let out a groan and his body suddenly collapsed. A demonic force suddenly spread out and turned into a demonic object that blocked the ancient god power for him. The demonic object's eyes were filled with shock. As soon as it formed, it collapsed with a bang and was pushed out of the vortex along with the bloody light. Blood God's body condensed, but his face was extremely pale. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and quickly retreated. As he retreated, he coughed out blood and rapidly weakened. His origin soul was seriously injured. If it wasn't for the demonic object that was connected to his life force, he would without a doubt be dead. His eyes were filled with terror, fear, and disbelief. The demonic object behind Blood God appeared again and shouted at the same time as him, "Ancient God!" Even their gazes were the same, shock mixed with fear. August would set off another storm in the renegade celestial realm. It would let everyone know the power of the renegade celestial realm readers. They asked for a guaranteed monthly vote so that they would have the upper hand at the beginning of the month. There would be many updates in August, and the content had been brewing for a long time. Was there Wang Lin among the 108 immortals of the great overarching star system? What would happen during the celestial pond baptism of the ancient cultivation family? The secret of the Xiang family, the opportunity to revive Li Muan, and the war between the great overarching star system and the Alliance star system would begin in August. The day they would return to the Alliance star system wasn't far away. Chapter 842. Without any hesitation, Blood God's body turned into a ray of blood light and escaped with the demonic shadow behind him. In the outside world, all the tentacles on Wang Yu's body were cut off from their roots and turned into countless Wang Yus. This scene caused the 6 old monsters to gasp. Master Flamespark's eyes lit up and his hand formed a seal without hesitation. The countless celestial fragments formed a treasure that floated in the air. At the same time, Master Flamespark let out a roar and a mysterious force spread out from the fragment. Every fragment contained powerful spirituality. After it spread out, it rapidly rotated with the fragments and surrounded Wang Yu's main body and the countless smaller ones. They rotated violently and formed a giant vortex that filled the sky. The red-robed old man waved his sleeve, and the giant octagonal formation around Wang Yu collapsed into countless fragments. The fragments surrounded each of the smaller Wang Yus. Thunder and fire rained down like crazy. The old man named Xiang's body flickered and he sat down in the air. His hand formed a seal and his divine sense split into countless parts to enter each of the formations. The 4 boys closely surrounded Wang Yu. Popping sounds came from the Heaven Spirit Red Core, and as they connected, they sealed off all of Wang Yu's exits. There was a flash of coldness in the Zhan family's Li Yunzi's eyes. With the silver light in his hand, he penetrated the seal of the boys and closed in on the countless smaller Wang Yus. He was too fast. He would often attack in a flash of silver light. However, all of these attacks were useless in front of the Moongazer Serpent's furious ancient god finger. The countless ancient god fingers condensed before the Moongazer Serpents crazily spread out in all directions. Boom, boom, boom. A series of loud noises reverberated. The finger of the ancient god formed by the Moongazer's main body was like a force that could split the heavens and the earth. It landed directly on the 4 red pills that were sealed by the 4 boys. One of the boys' face immediately turned pale, and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. The red core on the top of his head began to crack, and a thick red mist came out of it and quickly filled the area. At the same time, the other boy's face also turned pale. His body swayed, and he immediately became dispirited. However, there was a dazzling red light flickering between his brows. In the end, the red light charged out and fused into the red heavenly spirit pill. The moment the red light left the boy, his body collapsed with a bang. The red-robed old man cast many octagonal arrays, but under the impact of the countless ancient god fingers, they were so fragile that they could not withstand a single blow. All of them collapsed. Blood flowed out from the corner of the red-robed old man's mouth. Master Flamespark's eyes were bloodshot as he let out a roar. His hand formed a seal and the celestial realm fragment began to expand. It was as if there was an endless force inside it. In an instant, it was as if the thunder celestial realm had appeared once more. At a glance, all around the Moongazer Serpent were fragments of the celestial world. These fragments were connected by lightning, surrounding the Moongazer Serpent and crazily squeezing it. At this moment, the entire northern domain of the Luo Tian continent trembled violently. It was as if space itself was going to collapse. Fellow cultivators, help me seal this beast. Master Flamespark's voice was like thunder that could split the heavens and earth. As it echoed, his arms spread out and the veins on his face swelled. He was using his full cultivation. A sliver of aura that returned to his origin came out from Master Flamespark's body. It was only a sliver, but this sliver of aura caused panic to appear in the eyes of the surrounded Wang Yu. It remembered that in its memory, the terrifying voice from a long time ago also contained this aura, but the aura of that voice was even stronger. Even the terrifying feeling of trembling when it heard that voice was also remembered by Wang Yu when it sensed the aura from Master Flamespark's body. It remembered that when it felt this aura, it felt like it had returned to the ancient god's body, the life without consciousness. A violent roar came from the moongazer serpent's mouth. Its giant body moved like crazy, and a strange whisper came from its roar. In an instant, all the ancient god fingers from the moongazer serpents fused with the main moongazer serpent. As the countless ancient god fingers fused with each other, the ancient god finger that formed before Wang Yu's main body was no longer an illusion, but a real one. The rough skin carried with it a rune-like mark. The ancient god finger appeared in a tangible state in front of the moongazer serpent. As it roared, the finger pressed down. The three boys around Wang Yu's body couldn't resist at all. The moment the ancient god finger pressed down, they all collapsed. The red cores above their heads also shattered into a large amount of red mist. The seal disappeared and a large amount of moongazer serpents charged out. Just at this moment, the Shengong family ancestor stepped out. Thunder surrounded his body, and formed a large amount of thunder that turned into thunder dragons. They roared as they tried to stop the moongazer serpent. It was as if the entire northern domain of the Luo Tian continent was trembling. Thunderous rumbles echoed across space, and even the surrounding space began to collapse. The defense formed by the messengers of the Thunder Celestial Temple 50,000 kilometers away was also affected by the collapse of space. A gap appeared, but it was immediately covered by thunder. At the same time, the ghost formed by 5-colored Taoist charged out and attacked the moongazer serpent. The black-robed middle-aged man followed closely behind the 5-colored Taoist and turned into a giant eagle. He opened his mouth and spat out a large bell. This bell was illusory and surrounded the giant eagle. As the giant eagle charged out, the sound of a bell could be heard. This bell sound contained a powerful force, and as it echoed, the collapsing space became even more intense. It was pushed back and rushed toward the moongazer serpent. However, these attacks immediately collapsed before the almost corporeal ancient god finger. First was the Zhan family's Li Yunzi. When his silver sword collided with the ancient god finger, popping sounds came from his body. Li Yunzi coughed out a mouthful of blood and quickly retreated. However, after retreating more than 100 feet, Li Yunzi's eyes were filled with monstrous anger. He no longer retreated but charged out once more. His cultivation level was extremely high, but he didn't die from the ancient god finger. Only his origin soul was injured. The ancient god finger didn't stop and pointed at Li Yunzi once more. The red-robed old man let out a roar and his body turned into a blood cloud. He formed an octagonal red formation and collided with the ancient god finger. Just at this instant, the ghost formed by the 5-colored Taoist charged out. When it got close to the ancient god finger, it turned into a large amount of black fog. It surrounded the finger as if it was trying to devour it. The Shengong family ancestor didn't hesitate to form a seal and point to between his eyebrows. Countless thunder dragons quickly gathered around him and turned into a 100-foot thick bolt of thunder. It moved at a speed that couldn't be seen by the naked eye and collided with the ancient god finger. The black eagle formed by the black-robed man with the Gongsun family name did not stop either. At the same time the crowd went up against the ancient god's finger, he charged forward swiftly. As a mighty bell chime reverberated in the air, he crashed into the ancient god's finger. The combined power of the 5 people at the peak of the Luo Tian star system was enough to destroy any cultivation planet. It wouldn't be difficult for them to even destroy the northern domain of the Luo Tian star system. At this moment, their spells formed a storm that could destroy the void. This storm was too strong, and even the expressions of the messengers of the Thunder Celestial Temple 50,000 kilometers away changed greatly. Some of them were only at the illusory Yin stage, and their faces turned pale and blood flowed out from the corner of their mouths. This storm howled and directly collided with the ancient god's finger that had almost materialized. Boom! A loud bang echoed across the entire northern domain of the Luo Tian star system. Li Yunzi's white robe was dyed red and blood sprayed out from his body as he was mercilessly thrown back. The giant eagle formed by the black-robed man named Gongsun collapsed, and he was knocked back along with the bell. Cracking sounds came from the Shingong family ancestor's body. His face was pale, and he coughed out large amounts of blood as he quickly retreated. The octagonal formation before the old man named Xiang also collapsed. He looked dispirited as he staggered back, and his face was pale. The one who was the most seriously injured was the weakest of the five-colored Taoist. His spell was broken, so his body trembled violently. Popping sounds echoed as he continued to cough out blood. He didn't hesitate to retreat. All 5 of them were seriously injured. The ancient god finger also collapsed under the combined spell of the 5 of them. The collision of divine abilities of this degree formed an impact that was like a raging wave. With this place as the center, the shock wave spread out in all directions. The starry sky rumbled and collapsed, and as the ripples spread out, space rapidly spread out. The 50,000 kilometers of space was instantly affected by the shock wave. Several abandoned cultivation planets shattered when the shock wave passed by. The messengers of the Thunder Celestial Temple 50,000 kilometers away all coughed out blood. They could no longer seal themselves and were knocked back. Outside, the 2 seals formed by the red-robed and black-robed cultivators were also affected. Their faces turned pale and they quickly retreated. At this moment, inside Wang Yu's body, Wang Lin, the ancient godchild, trembled violently. The tentacles around him seemed to be devouring like crazy, and another star between his eyebrows collapsed. After the star shattered, a large amount of power was absorbed by the tentacle. The ancient god's eyes revealed a strange light and a complicated murmur came from his mouth. He separated a portion of the star's power and formed an extremely ancient transfer array before the Moongazer serpent. My clan member, quickly go. Bring my real clan member here. Wang Lin silently pondered as he looked profoundly at the extremely weak ancient godchild. He then stepped into the transfer array and disappeared, asking for a guaranteed monthly ticket. Chapter 843. The moment Wang Lin's figure disappeared, countless tentacles reached out from the void and wrapped around the transfer array. The transfer array immediately collapsed. Borrowing the obstruction of Li Yunzi's group of 5, Master Flamespark's eyes lit up. His arms formed a vortex and he shouted, "Seal!" Countless huge fragments of the celestial realm let out a loud rumbling sound and crazily shrouded the Moongazer serpent from all directions. As the Moongazer serpent let out an angry roar, its large body charged forward like crazy. Its anger burned its entire body, and the sense of danger from Master Flamespark almost made the Moongazer serpent mad. At this moment, as it charged, Wang Yu's body trembled and it unexpectedly stopped moving. Its eyes were filled with fear as it stared ahead. The space the Moongazer serpent was looking at had already collapsed. As the cold wind blew, a person walked out. This person's body was extremely blurry, so it was impossible to see his appearance. One could only tell that he was a man. His illusory body was extremely calm as he slowly walked out from the void. The moment this person appeared, the expressions of the seriously injured Li Yunzi and company changed greatly. Even with Li Yunzi's arrogance, when he saw the illusory person, a huge wave was set off in his heart. At this moment, his eyes were filled with respect. "It's him!" Master Flamespark actually invited him here. The expressions of the other 4 immediately changed, and they all respectfully bowed. After the illusory person appeared, Master Flamespark's eyes were filled with ecstasy. The illusory figure walked toward Wang Yu with one step. At this moment, even with Wang Yu's large body, it trembled. It was as if the person before it had an aura that made it feel fear. The Moongazer serpent slowly retreated. At this moment, a ripple appeared in space millions of kilometers away from the Moongazer serpent. Wang Lin's body jumped out from the ripple. After he appeared, he immediately turned around and began to ponder. There must be a reason for Wang Yu's sudden change. Could it be that someone has launched an attack on it? The ancient godchild inside Wang Yu's body wants me to bring someone who can inherit its inheritance. Unfortunately, my original body is far away in the Alliance star system, or else I could give it a try. However, I don't know if the ancient godchild is sincere in inheriting the inheritance or if he wants to use a spell similar to a cultivator's possession. I have to be careful and can't act recklessly. However, no matter what, now that I've left Wang Yu, no one will be able to detect my whereabouts in a short period of time. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he turned around like a meteor. Ripples appeared under his feet. Soon, Wang Lin's figure merged with the world and disappeared. The northern domain of the Luo Tian was very far from Wang Yu. It was a place where the two poles were separated, and that was planet Qingling. On this day, a ripple echoed outside planet Qingling and Wang Lin's figure walked out. He looked at the familiar cultivation planet before him and revealed a hint of melancholy. I'm finally back. Wang Lin took a step forward and charged toward planet Qingling like a ray of light. However, just as he closed in, several powerful auras came from planet Qingling. They were filled with hostility and immediately swept toward him. Wang Lin frowned, but he immediately relaxed. Those divine senses immediately locked onto Wang Lin. After they recognized Wang Lin, they immediately dissipated. Shortly after, more than 10 people charged toward Wang Lin like meteors. In almost an instant, the moment Wang Lin stepped onto planet Qingling, more than 10 people from the chosen immortal clan, led by the old ancestor, arrived. After seeing Wang Lin, the old ancestor was filled with excitement and said, "Benefactor?" Wang Lin looked at the old man and the chosen immortal clan members behind him. He smiled, nodded, and said, "Did you have a smooth journey?" The old ancestor took a deep breath and said, "Benefactor, the journey was smooth. However, along the way, I heard that there is a family named Yao in the Luo Tian star system that is hunting Benefactor." Wang Lin shook his head. "This matter is already in the past, so don't mention it again. Since you all are here, live well on planet Qingling. I'm going to go into closed-door cultivation for several months, so you all prepare your defenses." The old ancestor quickly nodded. Wang Lin's body flickered, and he no longer paid any attention to the chosen immortal clan members. He teleported and appeared on the Hengyun Peak. The Hengyun Peak was the same as when he left. There was no change at all. The cave was still there. After entering the cave, Wang Lin immediately activated the surrounding formation. The 5,000-kilometer area around the Hengyun Peak was completely locked down. Then he sat down and began to cultivate with his eyes closed. Several hours later, it was already late at night. The stars shined on the earth, and it was completely quiet. The moonlight shined through the entrance of the cave, illuminating the ground. It was extremely beautiful. Wang Lin opened his eyes and let out a mouthful of foul air. After leaving the Thunder Celestial Realm, he had been extremely tired. Even when he was inside Wang Yu's body, he was barely able to relax. However, at this moment, on his own cultivation planet, Wang Lin was completely relaxed. He looked up at the sky outside the cave as if he was immersed in it. After a long time, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and muttered to himself, "The Yao family's hunt won't stop. I don't have much time left." While pondering, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and a large furnace appeared. This furnace gave off an ancient aura. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he spat out essence origin energy. He surrounded the furnace and began refining it. The longer I refine this furnace, the more power it can display. However, right now I need to study it properly. As Wang Lin inhaled, the furnace shrank until it turned into a ray of light and was swallowed by Wang Lin. The shadow behind him flickered and Ta Shan walked out and sat down. Ta Shan was seriously injured and his expression was bleak. After sitting down, Ta Shan closed his eyes and began healing himself under Wang Lin's command. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the sealed Yao Bingyun appeared before Wang Lin. Inside Yao Bingyun's body was the soul lasher, outside was the 1 billion soul flag, and there were hundreds of thousands of golden seals. Staring at the sealed Yao Bingyun, Wang Lin's eyes became cold. His right hand formed a seal, and the golden seals around Yao Bingyun rose up one by one and dyed the cave gold. Under the seals was the 1 billion soul flag. Wang Lin's right hand reached out and a large amount of black fog came out from Yao Bingyun's body. As it surrounded the area, it completely revealed Yao Bingyun's body. At this moment, Yao Bingyun's clothes were torn in many places. Looking at her made one's heart palpitate. Her eyes were tightly shut and her face was ashen. It looked like her life could be extinguished at any moment. However, there was still a large amount of origin energy in her body. It was just that it was separated and couldn't fuse with her origin soul. Wang Lin stared at Yao Bingyun and pondered. Refining this woman into a celestial guard is one option, but before that, I need to borrow her power. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes as he raised his right hand. His 2 fingers formed a sword and he pointed directly between Yao Bingyun's eyebrows. The origin energy in Wang Lin's body quickly moved and entered Yao Bingyun's body through his fingers. Wang Lin's origin energy turned into a whirlpool. The moment the whirlpool appeared, it absorbed some of the origin energy that was separated from Yao Bingyun's body, causing the whirlpool to grow larger. Wang Lin was extremely cautious during this process. Slowly, the whirlpool absorbed more and more origin energy. Just as Wang Lin was about to lose control, he suddenly inhaled. Yao Bingyun's body immediately trembled. Her tattered clothes seemed to be blown away by the wind. At the same time, as her body trembled, the whirlpool in her body quickly emerged from her orifices. In an instant, the surroundings were filled with dense origin energy. Without hesitation, Wang Lin opened his mouth and swallowed. The origin energy that had floated out from Yao Bingyun's orifices turned into smoke and was sucked into Wang Lin's mouth. As the origin energy entered his body, Wang Lin's eyes immediately lit up and his face became slightly rosy. As his origin soul moved, it quickly fused with the origin energy he had swallowed from Yao Bingyun and continued to grow stronger. Time slowly passed and the sky outside the cave gradually welcomed the morning sun. When the sunlight landed on the ground, it dispelled the coldness of the night and caused the earth to feel warm. Inside the cave, Yao Bingyun lay on the ground. When the sunlight landed on her, it immediately shone brilliantly. At this moment, Yao Bingyun had an indescribable beauty. However, there was a trace of sadness within this beauty. Sadness and beauty. The origin soul in Wang Lin's body did not stop for a single moment during this night. As if it had gone mad, it quickly devoured the origin energy that was absorbed and at the same time, fused with it and turned it into Wang Lin's own strength. During this process, the origin soul's injuries gradually recovered. When the morning sun fell, Wang Lin's origin soul had completely recovered. Not only that, but as he refined Yao Bingyun's origin energy, his origin soul became even more refined. After spitting out a mouthful of gray gas and leaving the cave, Wang Lin opened his eyes. Without hesitation, he raised his right hand and pointed between Yao Bingyun's eyebrows once more. The origin energy entered Yao Bingyun's body and formed a vortex that continued to absorb the origin energy that had been separated from her body. After absorbing all of this woman's origin energy, my cultivation level will increase a lot. I only need to comprehend my domain to enter the second step and reach the Nirvana Scryer stage. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light as he stared at Yao Bingyun. Once the vortex in her body reached a critical point, he immediately sucked it out. The second chapter is here. There will be another chapter on the 1st of the month. Fellow cultivators, please maintain your monthly votes. I fell out of the top 5. Please support me with monthly votes. Chapter 844. A storm swept across the Luotian star system and shocked almost all the cultivators. The fierce beast that had slaughtered countless cultivators in the northern Luotian star system was captured by the Thunder Celestial Temple. Very few people knew what happened, but the result shocked all the Luotian star system cultivators. In an instant, the Thunder Celestial Temple's reputation reached its peak. It even surpassed several cultivation families with inheritances from ancient times and became an extremely powerful symbol in the Luotian star system. Borrowing this storm, the matter of the 36 heavenly spirit celestials, 72 earth fiends, and 108 celestials began. The celestial realm has collapsed and the celestials have fallen. However, there will still be true celestials in the future. The Thunder Celestial Temple will confer the celestials of the Thunder Celestial Realm. The families of the 108 celestials will be part of the Celestial Clan. They will exist forever. In the war against the Alliance star system, any celestial will become a commander and their family will obtain their own cultivation planet. The news of the Thunder Celestial Temple's celestial bestowment had spread a long time ago, but it only began now. At this moment, all the cultivators in the Luotian star system went crazy. All the direct descendants of the cultivation families set off. Because there were too many people competing for the celestial bestowment, the Thunder Celestial Temple announced that the eastern, western, northern, and southern star systems of the Luotian star system would be divided into 4 areas. The Thunder Celestial Temple would send people to each area to select 108 powerful cultivators to go to the Thunder Celestial Temple for the final celestial bestowment battle. The area within 50,000 kilometers of the Thunder Celestial Temple was considered a no-fighting zone. Anyone who came here was forbidden from fighting. If they violated this rule, their family would be exterminated. The celestial bestowment was set for 4 months from now. If this news was a storm, then what the Thunder Celestial Temple announced next would be a heaven-shaking move. The Thunder Celestial Temple would open the passage to the Alliance star system when the 108 celestials were selected. The war against the Alliance star system would begin. The entire Luotian star system entered a state of fanaticism. All the cultivators were preparing to slaughter their way into the Alliance star system after the celestial bestowment. A powerful killing intent filled the entire Luotian star system. Wang Lin didn't know any of this. He had been in closed-door cultivation for 10 days. During these 10 days, he had been constantly absorbing the origin energy inside Yao Bingyun's body. As he continued to refine and fuse, Yao Bingyun's powerful mid-stage Nirvana Scryer origin energy became a part of him. Yao Bingyun was like a great tonic for Wang Lin. His cultivation level slowly increased as he absorbed her origin energy. The amount of origin energy inside Yao Bingyun's body was very large. After 10 days of time, Wang Lin had only absorbed 30%. After refining 30% of Yao Bingyun's origin energy, Wang Lin's cultivation took a step forward and reached the peak of the corporeal yang stage. He was only 1 step away from the Nirvana Scryer stage. He was only 1 step away from the Nirvana Scryer stage. However, this step was like a ravine. It wasn't because he didn't have enough origin energy, but because he lacked comprehension of the heavens and domain. The karma realm is much more mysterious than the life and death cycle. My comprehension of it is impossible to grasp. Karma. Karma. As Wang Lin pondered, there was a hint of confusion in his eyes. Nothing in this world can escape karma. Karma is everywhere, but it is all just an illusion. If I want to find out what is going on, I will be unable to see the truth. After a sliver of Yao Bingyun's origin energy was refined into his own, Wang Lin let out a long breath and his gaze fell on Yao Bingyun. Karma. Obtaining the heaven-defying bead was karma, and meeting Situ Nan was karma. Me killing Ting Li was karma, and Ting Huiyuan killing my parents was karma. Similarly, Ting Huiyuan's actions were karma, and me slaughtering the Ting clan was karma. Karma, karma, and karma are all intertwined. Today's karma may become someone else's karma tomorrow. Wang Lin frowned and the confusion in his eyes became even stronger. The karma domain contained too much. Even now, Wang Lin still couldn't fully understand it. It was not something he could clearly comprehend from the life and death cycle. Comprehension of domain can't be forced. Without enlightenment, it will be very difficult to grasp the path. Wang Lin let out a sigh and gave up thinking about it. Although the word karma was simple, it was extremely complicated to truly understand it. I somewhat understand why it is so difficult to progress after reaching a certain level. This has to do with origin energy, but more importantly, it has to do with one's own comprehension. Wang Lin revealed a wry smile. How can the karma domain be improved? This comprehension is very difficult. No matter how much I understand, it is all an illusion and not real. But how can I make the Tao of karma become real? Wang Lin let out a sigh. He wanted to stop thinking about it, but he still couldn't stop thinking. As Wang Lin muttered to himself, his eyes suddenly narrowed. Back in the demon spirit land, with the help of ancient demon Bei Lu, I entered that mysterious state and deduced the drawbacks of the celestial slaughter art. In that state, I vaguely felt like I could see through all the Daos in the world and turn into countless avatars that fused with my body. This scene is similar to what I saw when Tian Yunzi taught me the spell. Wang Lin's eyes became brighter and brighter. The Tao that Tian Yunzi cultivates is the fate of the heavens. In his divine sense, there are countless Tian Yunzi, and each Tian Yunzi is good at a celestial spell. At that time, with my cultivation level, I could only see up to this point. However, now that I think about it, in that divine sense space, each Tian Yunzi not only has celestial spells, but also different Daos. Wang Lin's expression changed slightly and he was shocked by his own thoughts. He took a deep breath and recalled everything that happened in Tian Yunzi's divine sense space. This made him even more determined. Tian Yunzi has many Daos. How did he obtain these Daos? Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. He thought about what his first celestial guard had said before he was refined. I saw teacher Tian Yunzi devour Sun Yun. He really devoured him, completely devoured him. Wang Lin closed his eyes and then suddenly opened them. His eyes were filled with decisiveness as he stared at Yao Bingyun and muttered, "The Tao of karma is all an illusion. According to what I saw in the third step, all heavenly Daos return to their origin. I don't know what the origin of the Tao of karma is, but if I want my domain to become corporeal, I need to devour other people's domains, comprehend their karma, comprehend their Tao, turn it into my own karma domain." There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes as he raised his right hand and pressed it between Yao Bingyun's eyebrows. Asking for monthly votes. Chapter 845. However, the moment his two fingers touched Yao Bingyun's forehead, Wang Lin suddenly stopped. He stared at Yao Bingyun's pale face and fell silent. The concept of devouring is to take someone else's Tao and use it to complete one's own Tao. However, the heavenly Tao is endless and the grand Tao is boundless. Once I start devouring, I will be endlessly devouring. I will be walking the same path as Tian Yunzi. However, if I don't devour, I won't be able to truly understand karma. The Tao of karma will become illusory, unable to truly exist. To devour or not to devour? It was rare for Wang Lin to be so hesitant about something. It wasn't that he felt pity for Yao Bingyun. He was choosing his own Tao, seeking Tao. This step was extremely important. It was the choice to prove one's Tao. A cultivator's entire life was spent cultivating this Tao. Everyone's Tao was different. Based on one's understanding and experience, one's Tao was ever-changing. Everything in the world could become a Tao. Tian Yunzi once said that he had 3,600 incarnations, and each incarnation was a celestial art. In my opinion, These 3,600 incarnations are the 3,600 Daos he devoured. He devoured so many Daos, but in the end, he still hasn't reached the third step. It has been tens of thousands of years, and he hasn't reached the third step. However, if he doesn't devour, he won't be able to grasp the concept of karma. If he doesn't know the direction to seek his Tao, where would he find it? Wang Lin's face was filled with uncertainty. His eyes were filled with determination and confusion. His right hand was on Yao Bingyun's forehead, but no matter what he did, he couldn't push it down. Time slowly passed. Before he knew it, 3 days had passed outside the cave in Mount Horizon Cloud. During those 3 days, it felt like 300 years had passed for Wang Lin. He looked like he had suddenly aged. During those 3 days, his body didn't move at all. Only his heart was like raging waves that constantly moved up and down his body. The Tao. What is the Tao? Wang Lin murmured. During the past 3 days, he had uttered the same words countless times. It was as if he were asking himself the question, but also as if he were searching for the answer. The confusion in his eyes grew even stronger. What exactly is the Tao? In his pursuit, he did not notice that the origin power in his body had started to circulate slowly, but it had gradually increased in speed. On the third day, it had practically formed a storm within his body, and it was circulating at an almost insane speed. In the end, it almost came out of his body, forming an elemental energy vortex around him. This elemental energy vortex was colored black and white. As the black and white vortex spun, it was like yin and yang. Although they were fused, they were distinct. The vortex was getting thicker, stronger, and faster. Wang Lin was completely oblivious to all of this. At this moment, he was completely immersed in his search for his Tao. His origin soul was also constantly searching, constantly questioning, and constantly pursuing. From the appearance of an ancient thunder dragon, it slowly transformed into a human with the exact same body. It was still sitting there with its right hand raised as if it was pointing somewhere, but it still didn't put it down. It was as if this finger was Wang Lin's entire life, his life of searching for Tao. Early in the morning, the first ray of sunlight landed on planet Qingling. The mortals on the planet all woke up from their dreams and continued their simple and ordinary lives. The cultivators entered a meditative state and began to absorb the spiritual energy under the rising sun. However, today the spiritual energy in the world was extremely active. It was several times denser than before. Almost all the cultivators noticed this and were pleasantly surprised. They immediately found a place to cultivate. Gradually, some people found that if they cultivated facing the northeast, the amount of spiritual energy they could absorb would be much denser. Therefore, some people immediately flew into the air and headed northeast. The northeast part of planet Qingling was where Hungyun Mountain was. At this moment, there were already many cultivators tens of thousands of kilometers away from Hungyun Mountain. They were all cultivating as if they were worshipping. Often, a moment of cultivation was equivalent to several days of cultivation. At this moment, the image of the heavens and earth appeared on the Hungyun Mountain's cauldron. Black and white gas filled the mountain and intersected with each other, forming the image of yin and yang. From afar, the black and white were extremely distinct. With the blue sky as the background, it looked like a painting drawn by someone. It caused everyone who saw this scene to feel a shock that came from their hearts. This shock came from the soul and spread to the nascent soul. It fused with the origin soul and filled the body. It was as if there was a mysterious force that caused everyone to be immersed in it and unable to extricate themselves. What is Tao? At this moment, an ancient voice echoed in the souls of all the cultivators on planet Qingling. That voice seemed to contain the vicissitudes of life, as if it had experienced all kinds of life. There was also a sense of stubbornness, the majesty of seeking Tao. As it spread out, Everyone who heard it felt as if they had been struck by lightning and were frozen in place. Their minds involuntarily followed this sentence and asked themselves, "What is Tao?" On Heng Yun Mountain, the cave around Wang Lin was blown by the wind and turned into dust. It was blown away by the wind and disappeared into the world like fog. The entire cave disappeared, leaving only Wang Lin and Yao Bingyun, who still hadn't woken up. His finger was still pressed between Yao Bingyun's eyebrows. Above the two of them was the black and white image of the yin and yang fishes. It formed a circle and slowly rotated. The spiritual energy of planet Qing Ling moved with it and slowly spread to the surroundings. At this moment, if one looked at planet Qing Ling from the stars, they would see that the entire planet was shrouded in black and white. It was an extremely shocking scene. If someone with the cultivation of the blood ancestor passed by, they would be shocked. This scene was called the Dream Tao by those in the second step. Rumor had it that at the beginning of the world there was a mortal named Peng Zhu. He obtained Tao in a dream and condensed an ancient celestial treasure. He left behind a Tao heart that could reflect the heavens and earth. At this moment, Wang Lin was in a state of pursuit, confusion, and confirmation. He was immersed in a dream. It was as if he had left his body and slowly floated into the sky. However, this wasn't his origin soul. His origin soul was still inside his body. What is Tao? In this strange state, Wang Lin felt his body slowly dissipate and become one with planet Qing Ling. It was as if he was the planet itself. In a dense forest, a 30-foot-long python wrapped around a small beast that passed by. Its giant body wrapped around the small beast, and the sound of bones breaking came from the small beast's body. Just as the python was about to swallow the small beast, its body suddenly trembled. It raised its head and looked at the sky in the distance. The coldness in its eyes disappeared and was replaced with confusion. This isn't Tao. It let out a sigh like a gust of wind. The confusion in the python's eyes disappeared and was replaced with a ruthless coldness. It swallowed the small beast and disappeared into the distance. I can't write anymore. This chapter isn't finished. There are still more to follow. I'll update tomorrow. Today, Jen had broken a record. Counting how many words he had written, adding on the words from last night, there were a total of 13,000 words. This was unprecedented. Jen was an honest person. If he was smart, he would put this chapter on tomorrow and write another 3 chapters. However, he couldn't do it. Seeing that I'm an honest person from the Northeast, please give me the guaranteed monthly votes you have hidden. Also, give me the recommendation votes as well. Celestial Renegade only gets 35,000 recommendations a week. This week, Jen wants to reach 40,000 recommendations. Chapter 846. Outside the forest was a green mountain with clear water. There was a group of carriages moving quickly on the road. This group of carriages was made of exquisite materials and gave off a fragrant scent, giving off the aura of wealth. As the sound of horses' hooves and wheels echoed in the air, the carriage in front suddenly stopped and a girl about 7 or 8 years old walked out. The girl was wearing embroidered clothes and had a pink face, making her look like a jade statue. She held something in her arms as she struggled to get off the carriage. She walked a few steps and arrived at a bush on the side. She crouched down and placed the thing in her arms on the ground. It was a small beast with a white bandage wrapped around its leg. "Little Black, let's go home." The girl's eyes were filled with innocence and reluctance. She looked at the small beast and gently rubbed its head. The small beast raised its head. Its eyes seemed to have intelligence as it stared deeply at the girl. At that moment, the curtain of the carriage behind the girl was lifted, revealing a man and a woman. Both of them were middle-aged, and they looked at the girl with gentle love in their eyes. A gentle breeze blew by and the curtain fluttered. The 2 people in the carriage were startled and their eyes were filled with confusion. They were not the only ones. All the mortals in the carriages were the same. Even the girl squatting beside the small beast had confusion in her eyes. Only the small beast suddenly let out a hostile roar. It opened its mouth and revealed its teeth as if it had forgotten about its injured right leg. It jumped behind the girl and roared at the sky. There was fear in its eyes, but there was a force that made it not retreat and continued to roar. At that moment it didn't even notice that there was a trace of blood on the bandage on its right leg. The heavenly Tao is endless, and the grand Tao is boundless. Doing good deeds will cause the karma of today. There will naturally be a cycle in the future to end this karma. The ancient voice resounded through the heavens and earth, and it carried a trace of faint comprehension. The small beast's body trembled, but it still roared. Its eyes were filled with intelligence as it stared at the sky. It could feel an aura that almost suffocated it, but at that moment it didn't want to retreat. A sigh slowly came and gradually disappeared. The little beast's eyes were filled with confusion. With its intelligence that hadn't fully awakened, it didn't understand what the sigh meant. However, the moment the sigh entered its ears, its vision blurred and it saw something. An old woman in her twilight years was lying in an extremely luxurious room. Her face was covered in wrinkles, but it couldn't hide her kind face. Although she was on the verge of death, her eyes weren't cloudy. She closed them with a smile on her face. Suddenly, a huge beast descended from the sky. Once it landed, it looked at the old woman deeply. It opened its mouth and spat out a puff of white gas that surrounded the old woman's body before leaving. Little Black. The old lady opened her eyes. The illusion disappeared, and the bewilderment in the little beast's eyes deepened. A gentle breeze blew past, sweeping away everything. The people in the carriage were all clear-headed, as if they didn't know what had just happened. Even the little girl didn't notice anything. With a smile, she turned around to look at the little beast and softly said, "Little Black, go home." In a village in the mortal world, a middle-aged woman was pointing at the child who had accidentally broken the porcelain bowl and loudly scolded him. The child seemed to be extremely wronged as he stood on the side and cried, but he didn't dare to make a sound. There was a middle-aged man squatting on the ground with an opium pipe in his hand. After taking a few puffs, he raised his head and opened his mouth to say something. However, in the end, he let out a sigh and no longer spoke. At this moment, a gentle breeze blew by. The woman who was cursing was startled and her eyes were filled with confusion. Not only her, but the man beside her couldn't help but stop smoking. Only the child didn't seem to notice any of this. As he cried, he whispered, "Mom, that bowl already had cracks. Tao is like this bowl. If it isn't perfect, it will have cracks. It can break at any time." An ancient sigh echoed in the world. A gentle breeze blew by as if it was about to leave. The confusion in the middle-aged woman's eyes disappeared, as if she didn't notice anything. She continued to scold the child out of heartache for the broken bowl. The middle-aged man beside her also knocked his opium pipe to the ground. After a few knocks, he picked it up and took a big puff. Only the child's eyes were wide as he looked off into the distance. It was as if he could see his uncle flying through the air. The child ignored his mother's scolding. He rubbed his eyes, but when he looked again, there was nothing there. In the mountains and rivers, there was a middle-aged man wearing a blue robe. His face was filled with panic as he quickly ran. His eyes were filled with fear, as if he had encountered something extremely terrifying. Behind him was a woman in black. She had a sneer and hatred in her eyes as she chased after him. Every time she got close, she would raise the long sword in her hand and mercilessly stab him. After leaving a bloody mark on the man's body, she let out a sad smile. "Dog official, you destroyed my family, and now you've fallen into my hands. If I don't kill you, I'll be letting down the heavens and earth." A gentle breeze blew by. The panicked man's eyes were filled with confusion. Even the woman in black behind him was confused. She raised the sword in her hand but didn't swing it down. "Another karma," the ancient voice echoed, carrying a sigh as it left into the distance. The gentle breeze blew by and the woman regained her clarity. She sneered and stabbed down with her sword, cutting off the middle-aged man's head. She let go of the sword in her hand and knelt toward the north with tears in her eyes. "Dad, Mom, your child has gotten revenge." It was drizzling in the city of mortals. When the rain fell on the ground, there were flower umbrellas everywhere. People hurried around, and ripples appeared in the water under their feet. One ripple after another. It was as if each ripple was a karma that lasted for a long time. It fused with the world and became a part of Tao. The rain brought with it a gust of wind. When the wind blew, it seemed as if it could disperse the ripples. However, even if it dispersed, it would only last for an instant. A moment later, as the footsteps of the pedestrians continued, the ripples reappeared. It seemed as if there was no end to them. Off in the distance, a group of people in white robes were slowly moving forward amidst the mournful music. Behind them was a coffin that was being carried by the people as they moved toward the city gate under the pouring rain. Waves of crying echoed. When the people in the area saw them, they immediately moved away. As the group moved forward, pieces of yellow paper were scattered. It was as if they represented the loved ones of the deceased, opening the path to the underworld and sending them peace. The crying was real, fake, sad, and happy. A gentle breeze blew by, bringing with it an ancient sigh that surrounded the area. Death is the end of karma. All karma will be destroyed with death. An ethereal voice echoed as if it was asking itself. The sadness and happiness in the crying were real and fake, but the answer to the question was speechless. The ancient voice gradually dissipated and left. In the imperial city, thousands of soldiers and horses were charging toward the palace. A middle-aged man in a yellow robe stood in the palace, angrily staring ahead. There was also a strong sense of sadness on his body. A person walked out from the army below. This person wore armor and looked very mighty. If you looked closely, you would find that he looked similar to the man in the yellow robe. "Father, you are old. Don't be reluctant to part with your position." The sadness in the eyes of the middle-aged man in the yellow robe became even stronger. As he pondered, a gentle breeze blew through the imperial city, causing the eyes of the surrounding soldiers to become filled with confusion. What kind of karma is this? A weak voice drifted away with the wind, leaving the imperial city. It filled the world, passing through the lives of mortals as it tried to sense the changes in the Tao of heaven. As Wang Lin walked, he constantly verified his own Tao. There was confusion, doubt, and confusion. The Tao of heaven was vast, and there was no end to it. It was very, very difficult to grasp it. As the wind blew, Wang Lin felt like he was dreaming. In his dream, he became planet Qingling, and all the mortals and beasts on the planet were seen, felt, and comprehended by Wang Lin. He saw babies being born. He saw old people dying, he saw parents, he saw lovers, he saw parting, he saw reuniting, he saw kindness, and he saw endless evil. What exactly is Tao? Wang Lin was confused. He saw all of this, but in the end, he didn't have an answer. He continued to search, to verify, but he became more and more confused. The spiritual energy on planet Qingling became even denser. This density contained a hint of confusion. Anyone who cultivated here would be immersed in a mysterious realm. It was as if they became a part of planet Qingling. At this moment, their thoughts were controlled by a strange force. Their bodies involuntarily followed this strange force to pursue a certain result. Wang Lin's pursuit continued. Time slowly passed. For him, there seemed to be no end. He continued to fill the world and fuse with planet Qingling. When the sun fell, in a private school in a village, most of the children had already left. Only a young boy was still sweeping the floor. A gentle breeze blew by, causing the boy's body to tremble. His eyes lit up and he put down the broom in his hand. He turned and walked toward the teacher's residence. "Teacher, this student has a question." The door opened and a mortal old man with wise eyes walked out. He calmly asked, "What is it that you don't understand?" The young man looked at the old man and calmly asked, "Sir, do you know what Tao is?" "Tao?" The old man was startled. He looked at the young man, waved his sleeves, and said, "The old man only talks about human relationships. There is no Tao." The young man silently pondered and turned to leave. A gentle breeze blew by and he floated away. The young man's body trembled and he regained his consciousness. However, his mind was filled with confusion about what he had done before. In a small city, there was a highly respected old man named Xie who was respected by everyone in the city. In the middle of the night, he lit an oil lamp in his study. He picked up a scroll and was about to read it. A gentle breeze blew into the room. As the oil lamp flickered, the old man raised his head. In the room, there was an additional voice that sounded like it had experienced the vicissitudes of life. "You are a virtuous person. Do you know what Tao is?" The old man's face instantly turned pale, and the scroll in his hand fell to the ground. His eyes were filled with fear and he trembled as he said, "You? Are you a person or a ghost?" "What is Tao?" The ancient voice echoed once more. The old man took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. His voice trembled as he said, "The old man doesn't understand what Tao is." With a sigh, the voice disappeared into the distance. The room returned to normal, but the old man was no longer in the mood to read. In the capital city, countless students were holding scrolls and reading about human relationship. In front of them was an old man in white. He stroked his beard with his right hand and had a smile on his face. Just at this moment, a gentle breeze blew by. One of the young men immediately put down the scroll in his hand. He stood up and calmly said, "Mister, do you know what Tao is?" The moment the young man's voice echoed, the surroundings became quiet. The old man's expression was unhappy as he said, "The heavens are Tao." The young man shook his head. When he sat down, his body trembled and returned to normal. Only the wind blew out of the school without anyone noticing. The wind scattered Qing Ling. In an instant, almost all of the mortals on planet Qing Ling were asked this question through various opportunities. However, in the end, the answers were all different, but none of them were clear. Confused, Wang Lin immersed himself in this dream. There was no end to his pursuit. It was as if he could turn into countless incarnations as he searched for the true meaning of Tao. On this day, the old man named Xie, who was questioned by Wang Lin, was pacing back and forth in his home. He was unable to calm down for a long time. It was as if all he needed to do was calm down and the ancient voice would echo in his ears. He let out a long sigh and picked up an umbrella. In the rain, he walked out of his home. As he wandered around the small city, his eyes were filled with confusion. What is Tao? I've always thought that my knowledge is monstrous and that I can see through everything in the world, but I was completely stumped by that ghost's question. What is Tao? Confused, the old man unknowingly arrived at a riverside in the northern part of the city. There was an old man sitting on the riverside. The old man was wearing a raincoat and a bamboo hat. He was sitting on the riverside, casting a net to catch fish. The old man named Xie looked at all of this as if there was no focus in his eyes. He muttered to himself, "What is Tao?" At this moment, the old man in the woven rush raincoat let out a shout of joy as he scooped up the net. There were several large fish in the net that were constantly thrashing their bodies. The fish opened their mouths and tried to swallow the river water. There seemed to be despair in their eyes, and there was even a hint of struggle coming from their thrashing bodies. This scene was like a bolt of lightning that struck the old man named Xie. His body trembled violently as he stared at the fish in the net and the old man who was scooping it up. Could this be Tao? I am the fish, the Tao is the net, and the river is the sky. The old man scooping the net is the good fortune that controls fate. The old man named Xie's mind trembled as a wild wind began to blow through the rain. This wild wind contained the power of heaven and earth. The old man scooping the net was so frightened that he immediately let go of the net and sat down on the ground. His face was filled with hesitation. As for the old man named Xie, He took a few steps back and forced himself to calm down. The wild wind condensed and turned into a person, Wang Lin. He looked down at the fish that had fallen back into the river and was swimming about. His eyes were filled with understanding as he raised his right hand and pointed. A strand of spiritual energy entered the old man named Xie's body. You gave Wang enlightenment, I'll give you good fortune. The fish was struggling to beg for monthly votes. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.